spells.
All right, everybody. It's Chris with Drop Dice. We're back again, mildly discussing Pathfinder 2nd Edition before we start this game, and we're upset that wizards don't get occult spells.
This is accurate.
But I am happy that alchemists don't get spells at all.
So
I think I'm the only one that's really getting upset about the fact that they don't get occult spells.
I'm minorly annoyed.
Like I said, I want to look more at
Minorly.
the occult spells before I'm 100% upset about it. But I think it is a little weird that they can't do it because, like, whenever I think of occult, I think of like Call of Cthulhu, and like you find weird alien script on the wall. What am I gonna do? Let's read it real quick. Like,
Yeah.
that's occult spells to me. So I would think wizards would have that. Wizards have the undying curiosity.
Like, I think wizards there should be a thing for wizard where you get partial access to the occult stuff.
Yeah, I assume that there'll probably be like a multi-class into bard that'll give you occult or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird way to go, I guess. Well, I guess that makes sense though. Bards
I
are
have
all
to
about
play
lore.
music. I have to play music to be able to cast a spell of stupidity. That's dumb.
I
The way the
don't think you
bards
have
work,
to play
bards-
music anymore.
Nope. This is first ed. You got to play music.
All right, so
I have always had a question, Chris, and I'm going to ask this on live so everybody can know. I'm Murdoch, by the way, and I'm retarded. Not like actually, but this is where my brain goes. If I wanted to play a bard whose perform was
Miming.
no, God, what do they call it? Prostitution.
You are the best prostitute.
you know,
Oh, would that make you pretty much a porn star?
appropriate for the games I run. I could see the argument.
Like, and not like in combat. My encouragement is not like, whipping out my penis and being like, take that, orc. No, my encouragement would be like
Cat
a
calls.
fat dude belly dance and woo, you look good, and the orc
No,
being
then-
like, what?
Then
And, fighter.
I mean, that
Then
would,
belly
that would
dancing.
technically fall under like either dancing or oratory.
Nope. I want it to be prostitution because I'm only good at hitting on people. I'm terrible at anything
You know
else.
what? I was gonna say let's modify that. If you are a bard with our common house rule, a hey baby check will allow it.
All right. The answer is yes. I can perform "Hey Baby."
All right. So, did anybody change their beliefs, instincts, or traits from last game? Because I know that we took a little bit longer, kind of talking through them. I'm really only going to touch on them when you guys change them.
Nope.
Okay. Cool.
I speak for everybody apparently.
Maybe. I forget if I
Should I
changed.
check your character sheet and see if anything looks a little different?
I did not.
I think I was going to, but I forget what I was going because it's not there. But I could swear I wrote down the third one, a third belief. I don't remember what it was, so I'm going to say no.
And then we have one character that we did not talk about before, which is Nate's character, Dan
Farmer
Vaughn,
Fred.
Farmer Danny, get it right?
the farmer. So I mentioned it last time with these guys. Right now, it doesn't look like you have any beliefs or instincts going on. Your traits would have been from your character burning, so you just need to transfer those over to that main page that says information. But my suggestion to you is have at least one belief and one instinct that you can act on during this story. A belief that is a long-term goal, and then a belief that is something that will probably take you one or two times of play to be able to accomplish. It's usually good to include what's going on in the story world at the moment into your beliefs. And also, it's also good to consider including your other players in your beliefs. So I know we had talked about at one point possibly your character looking to become a knight if the story went that way, and you would eventually get your own mech and stuff like that. So if you had a belief with someone who's working towards that goal already himself, like Mason, that would be a good area to put that as your beliefs. And then, yeah, belief one there, that's a long-term goal. That's a good one. If you want to refresh yourself on the situation, there is underneath handouts, a little handout that says the situation. It's got a little church on there. You can read up on that because we're going to introduce your character in just a little bit. We're going to go back to where you guys are. If I remember correctly, and you guys can tell me if I don't portray your character's feelings in just the right way. You met with the Lord Justicar, Christian Jacquemin, decided he was an asshole.
Hold on, he decided or we decided?
You decided he was an
It was
asshole.
decided by mutual deciding.
He did not return a gift that was given to him by Mason.
What a dick.
Obviously means that he is a savage, and this is coming from a man who lives in the woods.
Yes, this is accurate.
He left ways with you, and he is a representative from Aldhedge. He went to meet with the soldiery that is here inside the Holy Land in Wayhaven. Once you parted ways with him, you considered your options and decided that you would do some investigating without interference from the other two somewhat partial investigative parties from their own countries. So you guys went over to investigate, I believe it was Swordbreak Village. Let me just double check here. It was not. You went to the Temple of the Bleeding Sister. That's what it was. And you met Clericus Jacquemin, who told you about mercenaries who had attacked. Through some digging, you were able to figure out that they are the Ebon Eye Mercenary Corps. And there is a nun who has offered to give false testimony and blame Ethaben for the attack. Though who hired the mercenaries, you haven't quite gotten to just yet. And that's pretty much where we left off. You guys were heading back over to Swordbreak Village, which is the neutral area, to conduct dinner.
Yes, Tom.
There was one little caveat. Before they went to the temple, I actually volunteered myself to go to Wayhaven, along with the
That is
Justicar.
correct. You did.
If you want to go and do his thing to start off.
Yeah, we will. And I apologize. The neutral ground was not Swordbreak Village. The neutral ground was
The Abbey.
The Abbey. So let's kind of touch in on Francis Morgan, who's riding up the road behind the Lord Justicar into Wayhaven. Wayhaven is it's a city that you've been to before. Wayhaven deals with mining around here, focusing mainly on lapis lazuli trade and kind of coordinating the mines that are outside of the area. You know that a small fief village outside of it is called Swordbreak Village. That's where most of the lapis lazuli is actually mined from. However, its processing and refinement into a pigment powder is done inside the city. That's how you know it as a dye maker. If you ever wanted to get a lesser blue or a different color blue than what you can produce with indigo, this would be a good place for you to go. But since your family deals mostly with actual indigo trade, this would be considered an inferior color when it comes to craftsmanship. You know that a lot of pilgrims actually come through this area. It's part of the reason that the town is actually called Wayhaven. The city was founded as a work colony for pilgrims. The person who owned the mines offered the pilgrims short-term stay and jobs to be able to afford the next leg on their journey, feed them, and give them housing. So there's large dormitories around the outside. Basically, there's a wooden palisade, some fields, and some farm country, another palisade, and then about 20 feet from that is where the actual city wall starts. Inside the city walls, once you've gotten past the large gates, you smell the smells of like baking bread and kind of that earthy home smell that you get with medieval villages. And by earthy, I mean it kind of smells like sweat and people piled up.
if we can back up for a second, if I remember correctly, the farm fields outside of Wave Haven have been salted, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
On the way in, I want to make a slight detour to take a small soil sample.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to see what exactly it was salted with. Probably just salt, but I do have mineral-wise, and if this happens to be from a specific location, it might be helpful.
Nice. Yeah, so you pick up some dirt, and really, how are you testing it? Because that's mineral-wise is obviously going to be part of it, but you may have another skill that might be able to be like the primary and mineral-wise be forked in or something like that.
I do also have an alchemy, which is possibly related.
It is. For alchemy, you're going to need a toolkit. The Justicar sees you collecting a sample, and he goes, you are, I know you're a noble, correct? Trying to figure out what your appropriate title is. Do you have my lord?
I like the first one. Let me just check.
Yeah, mark privilege. Okay.
Yeah, market privilege.
So he'll refer to you as sir.
Okay.
Actually, you are an artist. I wanted to talk to you about this. Artists, because of being a noble from the noble families that actually produce pigments, I think it would be appropriate for them to have a different title. If they weren't like a lord in proper name, they would still be given some sort of respective title. What do you think would be a good term? It could be as plain as like artist.
Which face?
That's an intriguing option. Let's see what we got for others.
Lord Designer.
I kind of like designer.
Yeah. Weaver, creator.
Ink Master.
I was gonna say, I forget who the author is, but there's the Alvin Maker series, and Maker is a title for someone who has magics that are able to make things, and I always thought that was kind of cool.
This is the type of someone who uses art magic?
Well, yeah. Like, typically, art magic is just like a term. It's not literally using art, except for my character, who uses art as sort of a medium.
Mm-hmm.
I posted a name.
Hivala?
Yeah.
What is that?
It is from a thing in Star Trek, which is regardless of like what you feel about Star Trek, there's a caste system for the Bajorans that they don't use anymore. And actually, in their caste system, artisans, specifically artists, were very high up.
Mm-hmm.
And they had what's known as Dejaras. You were born with this class, or born with this ability, kind of like Buddhists have the class and all that, their class, and that's just what they do. It's their Dejaras, their jobs. But the Bajorans are very spiritual people, so they believed that their art could like talk to the prophets, their gods and stuff like that, and so that's why they were so revered.
So is this a literal what they used, or is this like you modifying it a little bit?
No, that's literally what they used, but I think it might be cool if we kind of like, because it's kind of what you're looking for in the sense of like what it is. And I thought of it and I was like, oh, this is really cool, that we could maybe base something off of this, like Vala. We could, Lord Vala or something like that.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. So I like Vala just to keep it nice and plain.
Okay.
He'll kind of look over to you as you're collecting samples. And he says, Vala Morgan, you don't have to. We do have men for that. And he's sending out a few of these young men that have been brought along as part of his baggage train. They're collecting soil samples as they go. I'll see to it that we have access to some proper tools to investigate this further. But if the taste is any bit of an indication, and he kind of looks over to the man that Clericus Ansel was speaking with before, he nods his head and he's got a finger in his mouth, You can tell that literally he just scooped up some dirt and rubbed it against his gums to see if it tasted salty. Not a very smart move, but this is basically medieval times.
I do appreciate your help, Justicar. Although, if I may say so, I just like show up my hands. Like, I'm not afraid of getting my hands dirty.
Of course, Vala. And he bows near disrespectfully. Like it's a respectful bow, but it's like a little too long, a little too deep. And you get that that's just kind of how he always is. Like he's just overly like trying to play to etiquette.
This guy. Anyway. Alright, so yeah, I'll take a sample and ride into the city.
Okay. When you get into the city, once you're in Wayhaven Castle, you know that there will be tools available for you if you would like to use alchemy. All right, so once you've made it past the farm fields, like I said, they're fields, but they're actually, let's talk about those fields for a minute before I get too far. The fields themselves, you can see that they've been stamped in by lizards. You can see like the claw marks inside the dirt where it tore in. Whoever salted these fields then ran lizards on top of it to kind of beat the salt into the earth. Whoever did this as a military maneuver. It wasn't just some peasants throwing salt on their fields to basically ruin the land for whoever was going to conquer it.
Okay, good to know.
The houses themselves do not look like they've been ransacked or touched. There was a barn that was burnt down that you can see along the road, but that's the only real damage that was done to the farm fields aside from the salting. As you approach the city, like I said, you go through 2 sets of palisades, and then there's about 20 feet from that second set of palisades is the large actual. It's a brick and mortar wall. It's about 25 feet up. It's actually fairly high for a wall here inside the Holy Land. Most city walls are only about 8 feet tall. They're more there for protection against wildlife than necessarily like invaders. This wall, however, in the city was designed for protection against people. Being this far south, you know that there's been problems with orcs in the past and things like that, so it does make some sense. At the large gate, you see a couple of men dressed inside the colors of Aldhedge. They are wearing this crimson and white uniform. It's mostly a crimson color. However, the white itself is yellowing because they've been outside for a long period of time. And when they see the Lord Justicar approach, they instantly snap to attention and give him a salute, recognizing his banner. Evening, my lords. May I ask for your paperwork, please? The Lord Justicar presents his, and you have a set as well. After a few moments, the guard kind of nervously shuffles the paper, and he says, looks like everything's in order. If there's anything that you need, please. And they'll open up the gates to you. Once you get inside the city, once you get inside the city, like I said, it's compact. It's a very realistic version of like a German medieval city kind of feeling inside here. The houses are built on top of each other. They're crammed together. The streets are very narrow. There's enough room on the main road for 2 lizards to pass side by side, or 1 wagon. For 2 wagons to be able to pass, they'd have to pull over onto like a house basically to let the other one pass. The alleyways between the houses range from about wide enough for you to go in facing forward to you're going to have to shimmy if you want to get back there. It's a pretty crammed up place behind the walls. Every inch of free space has really been utilized and used. You can see that atop of a small hill, because this is kind of like an old style fort, is the castle itself, which is built more like a manor house, and it has its own wall around it as well.
As we like first go into the city, Francis will like pull his hood up over his head and just be about as inconspicuous as he can.
Okay. Passing through the city, this is... Let me just find this real quick here.
By the way, sorry, not sorry from that post.
Okay, I found what I was looking for. You are from the Holy Land, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. You're going to see that the people in the streets are coming out and they're addressing the Lord Justicar. And because you've covered yourself, they kind of view you as possibly one of his entourage. They're not really bothering with you. But you'll hear people complaining about how Aldhedge has killed their family. Their son hasn't returned from the war, and that this is a great injustice. You'll hear all sorts of things from the people there. People claiming that that they saw Aldhedge forces salt the fields. People complaining about what is Aldhedge going to do for its citizens inside the Holy Land, because they don't have enough food to make it through the year. Once winter comes, this city will either die or migrate with how much food they have available.
That's dire. For the moment, I'll remain incognito. I'll make a mental note of like which ones were complaining about Aldhedge salting the land, and I want to watch the Justicar's reaction to all this.
The Justicar is he was a judge for a time, so you can see that he's very he's listening, he's nodding, he's taking it in. He has somebody next to him who's writing notes, like a scribe on foot that's taking the complaints of the people, but he's not passing judgment. He's listening to each one carefully before he says anything. He's kind of dropped his airs and he's seeming more professional now. He lets them take their complaints to him, and he listens so long as it doesn't keep him off of his task of getting to the chateau on the hill. He kind of gets close to where the chateau grounds start, and the guards are around it. And he turns finally to the crowd and he says, "This is my scribe. He will stay with you, and he'll take down any further complaints or any sort of reports that you have of their comings and goings. If you have any crimes to come forward with, whether they be ours or Aldhedge, whether they're ours as Aldhedge citizens or even those of Ethabent, come forward and confess your crimes." And then he goes back to the stairs that actually lead up to the chateau, and he'll dismount and turn his lizard over to a guard.
That last one was for you, Chris.
Okay.
What's the best option to take?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
For the moment, I'll continue to follow the Justicar.
Okay. Excellent. So the rest of the walk isn't super important. We're just going to jump right into the Justicar at the chateau because it's stairs from here. He makes it to the chateau grounds, and you being a person who deals with like flowers regularly, you're going to notice that the chateau is gorgeously decorated. There's flowers all around. It's in pristine condition. You're not quite sure what flowers they are unless you have a skill to prove me otherwise.
Unless alchemy counts, not really.
Let's find out. I think it might. Because these flowers are useful for something.
Oh, that or dye manufacture.
No, but you could roll something along the lines of dye manufacturing. Do you have like a lore or something that would work?
Cloth dyeing or fabric wise, but other than that.
Okay. It doesn't sound like you have something that would really work.
Okay.
The flowers themselves are kind of a pinkish flower. They have 5 petals and they rotate around. You do find yourself kind of captured by their beauty. So I'm just going to throw that out there and see if you take my bait.
Have I seen this particular arrangement of flowers before?
You've seen these flowers before. You can't quite put your finger on it. You know they grow in the Holy Land. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, you know what it is, but you can't think of what it is, kind of thing. But the arrangement of how the chateau is decorated with these things is breathtaking. It's very much awe-inspiring.
Okay, that's good enough. I will stop and start painting us out.
Okay, excellent. As you are painting and kind of going through making your piece here, we're going to say that you do it, and if you ever use this piece for something, we'll then roll to see how well it is.
Okay.
Because it might just be like a piece that we don't do anything with. So
Sure.
You're going to hear a woman speaking in the garden just a little bit ahead, and because you're so concentrated on your work, it's a little hard to make out what it is, but it sounds like the Justicar is speaking with a woman, and it's jovial. It's a good conversation. What catches your attention, though, is when it kind of hushes up, and you suddenly look around, and the Lord Justicar is with, you can tell, a very high noble woman. She's wearing a red dress with white trim along it, and it's got a lot of lace on it. She wears a white wig. Vala, please allow me to introduce you to the Duchess Constance Leroux. Duchess, this is Vala Frances Morgan. She extends a hand to you, and you know that being a lower station than her, you should acknowledge her first before she does.
All right.
There's no etiquette required with that. That's just something you grew up knowing.
I will say, it is a pleasure to meet you, my lady. I'll take the hand and kiss it.
It is a pleasure to meet an astounding artist. And she kind of looks towards your... What is your medium? Are you painting or are you sketching?
I paint if I have the option.
Okay. Is this like a travel kit you broke out, or did you like full on break out the easel, started mixing paints here?
Travel kit.
Okay. She'll look towards this because it's probably like a piece of wood that you have like a thumb hole in so that you can hold it with one arm. And she looks over to the very beginnings of like the line art for this flower. And she smiles to herself and she says, I see my garden has captivated you. The oleander is a very interesting flower. If you need anything, pigments, otherwise, please let me know. It's always nice to have a Vala in the home. We lost our last one during the war. He did not want to be around in case things went bad.
I'm sorry to hear that, my lady. But thank you for the offer, nonetheless.
Of course. Now, I know that the road has been long and both of you have traveled quite the distance. If you would like to bathe before meeting the Duke, you have free reign to do so. I will begin preparations for the Duke's mid-afternoon snack. It's probably best that you meet him there. He's usually much more amenable when he has something to eat.
Of course. How long will it take me to finish this?
Just to give you an idea, oops. That is the Duchess. Except for her dress is red instead of purple.
Neat.
If you were to sit here and do this, it kind of depends on how much time you want to invest into it. You've got enough that you could kind of come back to it and paint it in your free time right now. You've got the line art done. But if you wanted to sit here and actually do it complete, probably only about 30 minutes because you picked a small section to focus in on.
I think I'll finish the painting.
Okay, excellent. You have about an hour before the meal. So if you finish the painting, that'll take about half the time. And there's a servant who's kind of standing by for you. It's a young boy. And once he sees that you are done and starting to pack your things, he comes up to you and goes, Vala, I can show you to the baths if you'd like. The Duchess would rather have clean guests, if you understand my meaning.
Of course, and it would not do for me to be rude. As a guest in her house, lead on.
Okay. So he leads you through the house, and this house is actually an interesting design. You can clearly see where Aldhedge has made their influence. There's kind of this French aesthetic that's been put on a old Spanish mission house, like the kind you would see out in California, where there's a wall around the house, and then all of the buildings are built into the wall, and then there's a courtyard in the center. As you go through the main doors, you find yourself inside the courtyard. There's a small pond, and you notice that there is a man in an executioner's hood that is walking down the corridor towards one of the rooms on the front half of the house. The boy is taking you towards the back half of the house, and he says, the baths are in the back. This way, my lord.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Nick, that's fine. Yeah, if you want, make sure that you just go through the situation stuff and then probably like watch the last episode. That'll probably help you out. The recap we did here was pretty good, though.
All right.
So he brings you back to the bathhouses. The servant will bring a fresh set of white undergarments for you, some towels, but he leaves you to be able to do your business. Are you just going to take a bath, or are you going to start poking around now that you've seen the house?
Yeah. I am curious about that executioner. But I do not have faith in my sneak craft.
Keep in mind, you are here for legal matters, so if all else fails, you could just wave around the thing that says, I'm here from the church. I do what I want.
True.
Whatever, I do what I want.
But you may not get the same answers.
Let me take a look. Terrible coin flip. I will quickly bathe first and then see how much time I have.
Okay. So I'll say you're kind of rushing it. you will have the young boy will finally get back with the linens for you. You quickly get dressed, and like the boy starts talking to you about like the Duke, what to expect, like all the things that a servant really should do before you get introduced. This is your opportunity to break away if you want, because he's just a servant. He can't do anything to stop you anyways.
It's like, I'll pat the boy on the shoulder. It's like, you've done good work here. Now, if you excuse me, I have other matters I need to attend to, so whoop. And sort of walk out.
Yeah, the boy kind of chases after you. You can tell that he's been assigned to you, which is commonplace inside noble homes, that a servant would be assigned to you. He's like kind of like running behind you, but you're just beelining towards where the executioner went. There's these heavy oak doors, and you burst them open, and you come in, and the executioner has a block in front of him. You see a soldier that's wearing a crimson red robe, who's kneeling in front of the block. His hands are bound behind his back, and the executioner puts his foot on the man's back, pushing his head towards the block.
Are executions in the palace common?
As you say that, the Duchess and the Justicar turn around, and they say, no, not normally, but under these circumstances, justice needs to be served.
And what crime did this man commit?
This is Sir Isaac Appel. He has committed the heinous crime of killing Theban women along with men during the course of war. Sir Appel tried to hide these crimes. We have found evidence of it brought forward by his own commander. And you'll see a woman step forward, and she presents a bloody uniform, and there's like locks of women's hair tied to it. She says, my apologies, Vala. I know that sometimes scenes like this can be disturbing for your art, but it seems he liked to have taken trophies.
I like just give the uniform a passing glance. Like, are the hairs literally like tied to it? Like not just caught on like seams, but like tied?
Yeah. Do you have a skill that could help you out in this situation?
I have fabric wise.
Yeah, give me like a fabric wise. We can work with that.
Okay.
You could fork in mending.
Cool. What button thing do I press or roll? Oh, there it is.
You're gonna press the D6. Yeah.
That was weird.
And then you'll get one die for the fork.
All right. I'm not going to use any Artha just yet. And base obstacle?
Your base obstacle is going to be a 2 for this.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right, cool. 4 successes. So looking at it, you're able to tell a few things. Working with fabrics, materials, fibers a lot, you have some experience with this sort of thing. If this hair was as long on this uniform as they seem to claim, it should be a little bit more dried out. You're looking at the blood. The blood is dry, but not fully dry. It's like if you had a pigment that had been sitting on a cloth for almost long enough to set.
How long ago did these heinous crimes take place?
The Inquisitor, or sorry, not the Inquisitor, the Justicar speaks up and he says, the timing of the crime matters not. We found evidence. The man has confessed to it himself. Sir Appel is guilty.
Well, judging by the uniform, the last one was relatively recently. Just saying, if he's been in custody for how long would you say?
Last hour.
No.
You know that the blood would have dried by now.
Yeah.
It would have to be thoroughly soaked through to not be dried by now.
Yeah, it's like, no, that long, then this blood should be dried. It is not. Which means that this... sorry. Means that this blood was spilt after he's been in your custody.
You can see Isaac kind of shifting on the block, and he moves his head to look up at you.
It's like, I'm just looking down, so it's like, well, is there a reason you confessed to a crime that you perhaps didn't commit? Anything you want to tell us?
He kind of sneers at you and he says, what are you saying, Vala? That I would lie? That this is some sort of cover-up? How dare you? You know nothing of what it means to be a soldier. You don't know what it means to go to war. The only answer for war is ultimate destruction of your enemy. Women, children, it doesn't matter. And he spits.
Well, considering the crimes availed against you, you'll have to forgive me if I don't put your honor in high standing, such as it is. Just noting an odd little curiosity is all.
Isaac attempts to get up from kneeling, and the executioner puts his boot into his back again, pushing him down on the block. And Isaac starts shouting, his face down on the block. You are able to hear that he demands his right as a knight to duel you for an insult against his honor.
Would that even work in this context?
I got you, fam. I got you.
The Duchess kind of
agree,
looks a little confused,
but
and
ask for a champion.
Yeah, the Duchess looks a little confused, and she says, Vala, you have no champion. You do not have to fight this man. If you were to simply decline his insults, and she kind of like sneers at him, I would continue the Axeman's Blade. And it would be nothing more than the ravings of a madman on the executioner's block.
On the one hand, I don't honestly care if this man lives or dies, because he clearly isn't trying to help me help him. But on the other hand, this is very sketchy, and he might have information. So, what I play this out?
So, fun thing about knights and dueling, kind of like an L5R, if he was to duel and win, he technically proves his point. So he does have a stake in challenging you to a duel right now. Basically, if he wins the duel, as far as the official law is concerned, he's not covering up shit. He did those murders.
Interesting.
And you know if they execute him, it's the same thing. The
Yeah.
justice has found him guilty. There will be no further investigation. He gets all the blame.
I'll see you tonight. Bring him with you.
You absolutely could. It is within your right. You technically are the leading investigative team, so you can call a halt to this execution, or at least a stay.
Let me kill him. Yes.
Well, here's the other
Let
question.
my hate consume you.
Do I know Mason well enough to know he would be okay with me, like, basically saying, oh, by the way, you're my champion in a duel?
That's why Mason was brought in on this.
Just in case I need to throw him at someone.
I will point out that you guys have a mandate from the church that duels will be conducted not to the death if they come up. So you could do first blood. You could do a shield break duel if you wanted to do that. You could even do a joust, because we are talking about knights.
Okay. Francis will look to the side and consider this for a moment, and then turn back to the raving man. It's like, well, I myself am no hand at duels, but I do know a man who can serve as my champion. So I suppose I will accept, although you will have to come with me to find him first.
The Duchess smiles warmly, and she says, naturally, I will have him detained inside the dungeon, for lack of a better term. It seems that when Ethelbin built this place, they were still very fond of use of dungeons. Take him away, and a couple guards snatch him up. Sir Isaac is kind of not really fighting it. He's going with them. He gives like a half-hearted, like kind of shrug, like he's going to come after you, but you can tell that it really wasn't in full earnest.
Very strange. Like, I turn back to the Duchess. If you know, where did this uniform come from? I say, point to the bloody uniform.
The Lady Commander, you learn her name is Simone Broke. Lady Commander Broke speaks up and she says, the uniforms are issued to each soldier. However, they're required to embroider their names inside the uniform. This is his uniform. It was found with his stuff. He came back from a patrol out to Swordbreak Village. Swordbreak Village is a bit of a sore subject for the war. It's been contested ground, and it's been a mess, honestly. It's been handled poorly on both sides. I, unfortunately, haven't been able to keep as tight of a rein on my soldiers, it seems, as I would have liked.
A shame.
I need to roll something real quick. What's your will?
Oh dear. Where did I hold? Steel, mouth, circles. Oh. Dang it, where is this thing listed? 4. My will is 4.
She is lying.
I figured.
Like, real bad.
All right.
You can tell that she's following someone's command to lie to you. That's how bad her lie is.
Okay. Can I get her name again? I want to write it down.
It is Simone Broke, and I'll copy it into the chat. She is the Lady Commander of Eldhedge.
Cool. Good to know. Gonna have to look into that later.
The Duchess kind of speaks up and she says, forgive me, the Duke is short on time. If you gentlemen have but a few moments, I know he would appreciate meeting the investigators.
Of course. I do apologize for that brief distraction I created.
She takes you over to like an outside courtyard. Like, remember I said it was kind of a Spanish style house where it's a big square and there's a courtyard on the inside. When you first approached, there was the courtyard facing the door, which is like the flower garden area. The courtyard to the west is the one that she's taking you out of. This area also has these oleander flowers all over the place. And you can hear the sounds of like dogs wrestling inside the yard here. And as you turn the corner of a very simple hedge maze, you were able to find the Duke, who is, let's see, what's the best way to put it? Kind of greasy. He looks like he smells bad and would probably be gross to touch. He is wrestling with these dogs, just sweating profusely. And there's some food on a cart that looks way too good to be with this man. You can tell he's a duke because he has his sash of station, but he's wearing very plain linens, like he wasn't expecting anyone to be here. But his sash is still on over his casual clothes, if you will. As you approach, he does not greet you. The Duchess steps forward again, and she says, as you can tell, the Duke is training his hunting dogs. Clearly a lie. The Duke has no social graces, has not acknowledged you. He's much more concerned with wrestling around with these two hounds.
Okay. I suppose I will step forward first and say, "It is an honor to meet you, Duke," and just give a bow. And just, I suppose, wait for him to respond.
Yeah, once you kind of lead the way, the Lord Justicar joins you. And then the Duchess, Constance, she turns to her husband and she has to like try to get his attention a few times. She says, "My love, darling," and then she'll reach down and grab one of the dogs by the back of the neck, which will stop the roughhousing. She says, "Darling, we have guests." And then he suddenly notices that you've been bent over in a bow for longer than would be required of you. He stands up and he kind of adjusts his Duke sash and he says, "Yes, of course."
His Duke sash.
He looks over and he says, "Lord Justicar, is that you?" And he shakes his hand, completely ignoring you, by the way. He breathes very heavy and he says, "Lord Justicar, just the man that I've been looking to see. Take your servants and have them seated wherever, and we will provide food for them." And he kind of waves you off like you're a servant. By the way, your mark of privilege, he knows you're a noble. That's what that trait means, is that other nobles recognize you for being a noble.
Right.
He's clearly being a rude asshole to you.
I had low expectations, and they're still falling short.
He takes the Justicar over to like this concrete bench where the food is at, and he sits down. The Duchess is watching you during this interaction, like she's judging what you do next, kind of thing. He begins explaining to the Lord Justicar about the salted fields.
I will not say anything, but I'm still gonna like just hang around the Duke and the Justicar.
Okay. She seems content with that response. It's kind of the best way to put it. He begins by talking about the salted fields, which he feels is unforgivable, that the food it doesn't even belong to Aldhedge, that it's the food meant for pilgrims. It's the church's food before it's anyone else's food. And that that ultimately salting the fields is like stealing from the patriarch. It's unforgivable. But he then goes on to talk about how Ethelbin killed several people from the Pielters family when they were bereaving his dear friend Sebastian Pelter. Or sorry, that he is bereaving. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes, and my notes are kind of mixed up here. He is bereaving his dear friend Sebastian Pilter. You have a will of 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he's kind of good at lying, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, he is lying. Luckily, because he rolled poor in the let it roll thing, you're going to catch every time he lies during this conversation. that the Etheben soldiers violated the sacred temple of the Bleeding Sisterhood, and worse yet, the orphans. He even goes on to say, where I myself asked for a blessing over my son only weeks before. If he asked the temple, you can tell that this man would have not been accepted unless he basically forced it on them. He's probably never stepped foot in the temple, but he is aware that it was attacked, and he does believe it to be Etheben.
All right.
Etheben violating the mourning peace for his loyal retainer, Celine Tomas, whose family was once honored by the patriarch himself. That never happened. It's a complete lie. She is dead. She has been received as a saint by the patriarch, but the patriarch never visited her. And worse yet, these mercenary troops brought into a private war, unthinkable. And he kind of meanders on with conversation, going back and forth, basically reiterating his same points over and over. Lord Justicar kind of nods, takes notes. He has a second scribe with him this time that is taking notes on what the Duke is saying. And the Lord Justicar stops the Duke for just a moment with a hand. The Duke patiently waits as he double checks his scribe's notes. This will be a good time for you to interject if you'd like.
I heard some dastardly things from the commoners when coming up to the castle. Some of them claimed that Althedge was the one who salted the fields outside.
Your servant knows the truth. Sorry, you said Althedge salted the fields? It should be Etheben.
Oh, you said Althedge.
Yes, I need to correct myself.
Okay.
Etheben.
Unless you want to start, something more than what you're doing.
Okay, so backing that up. So
no, it's my fault. There's a typo in my notes, but it should be Etheben.
Yeah, that explains a little bit things. All right. Yeah, I'll still bring notes. Like some of the commoners claim Etheben. They saw Etheben assaulting the fields.
He goes, yes, of course. Your servant knows best. Excuse me, and he kind of looks you up and down.
Vala Francis Morgan.
Oh, from the House Morgan. Yes, I wonder where that is. I do have a vase that I believe was made by perhaps an uncle of yours. Forgive me, I'm not so great with art. I'm more interested in hunting, and you can see his hunting hounds are still running around inside the hedge maze, like making a fucking mess everywhere they go. Like they're sniffing everyone's crotches, completely rude. Like they are out of control. He's throwing turkey bits to them.
Yeah, Francis is like, take a look at the dogs. Take a look back. I can tell.
Forgive them. Murder and sorrow know nothing about common decency. Yes, his dog's names are Murder and Sorrow.
That's amazing.
That is a fantastic name for his dog. And then there's Florida Man.
So, actually,
Florida Man's always up to no good.
let me check the notes of things that happened, see if there's anything else I want to ask. He mentioned the temples. He mentioned the fields.
Vala, you are free, of course, to explore my house. Anything that you need will be brought to you. As part of the investigative team, my house is yours, of course.
Your hospitality is very gracious, Duke. Though, if I may ask, I was both tasked with the church with this and have something of a personal interest and as such. I've heard that dye production has completely stopped. Could you give me insight as to exactly why? I mean, I can guess, but I would like to be as thorough as possible in my report.
He looks up, and the dog known as Sorrow comes up and like nudges underneath one of his legs, kicking it up, and it's just like burying its face into him. And he says, Yes, that's true. And he starts like rubbing the dog, kind of ignores you for a few moments, and then the dog, you kind of get why he's named Sorrow. He lets out this long howl that sounds like a mourning howl for like a dog that's best friend died. And he throws out another piece of turkey, and the dog darts off into the bushes, crashing through a shrub. He goes, yes, Swordbreak Village was unfortunately kind of the center of things. Strategically, it was a great location to have a war, but for everything else, not so much. The Lapis Lazuli mines, most of the workers have either returned to Wayhaven to seek shelter from the war, or those that continue to work, I'm afraid, were put in situations where they could not work. They were driven off the land or even became casualties in the war. I am told that, unfortunately, one of my knights is responsible for some of that. A grievous crime, but I hear he is in good hands. And he looks to the Justicar, even though technically he's in your jurisdiction. Justicar doesn't really say anything. He nods. You can tell he's being tactful with his responses and things. Like, he doesn't do a lot of talking with the Duke.
Right. So I think that's most of the things. Oh, right. Did he, in his ranting before, say anything about the assassins?
He did not.
All right. I'll ask about that. It's like, one last question before I get on to my business. The assassins that slew the oh god, that slew the High Guard captain and the Baroness. What news do you have of them?
Forgive me. There's been so much going on, it must have slipped my mind. Yes, the assassins. The Lady Commander should be able to take you to them. We've managed to capture them. The art magic that we employ allowed us to keep some of them alive for now. But they came in, they slew Abraham Sands, the High Guard, a man from... and he kind of thinks about it for a moment, and let me see if we named fake Germany. He goes, a man from Ecosia. He was a fine gentleman. It's a shame to see him gone. My guards have been very disorganized since, and unfortunately the beatings will have to continue until one of them steps forward with leadership to command the others. But that's not the point. The real point is that the Baroness, Marina Montez of Aldhedge, Marina Montez of Aldhedge, which you will catch as that is an Ethaben name. Ethaben names have like a Spanish feel to them, just to give you a heads up. She is of Aldhedge, however.
Huh. Interesting.
Was visiting. I feel personally responsible. She came here wanting to put a war into the war. She was here to speak with her cousin. She felt it was best that we did not continue this for the pilgrims. Unfortunately, she's become a victim of the war. He seems genuinely saddened by her death. Like, you can tell that I wouldn't say it's saddened. You can tell that he sees it as it was unnecessary. That's kind of the best way to put what he's putting out there.
Okay. I suppose that's it. So, all right. Well, I apologize for bringing you any distress in my questioning. I shall continue on my work. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. So what would you like to do? You do have some time here before you have to leave to make it back to the Abbey.
Two things if possible.
Okay.
The first is I want to meet the assassins, just get a read on them. Don't know if you can do that. Other thing, which he may or may not be in the city, I want to see if I can find Doxson, my merchant contract. He's the guy I go to where I sell my dyes. Normally he'd be on the road, but with dye production basically at a standstill, he would probably be in Wayhaven, like trying to get any news he can.
I like that argument. Okay, so this is how we get a hold of people that we have in our contacts, the people that we paid for relationships with. Normally you can just say, I want them to be here. And if it's reasonable, I say, yes, they're here. If it's somebody who's not a contact with you, we would roll circles. But because your argument is very sound, I think that's a good idea that why he would be inside the town. I think he is. So which would you rather do first? Do you want to go to Doxson or do you want to investigate the assassins?
If the assassins are locked up in the castle, I might as well start with them.
Okay. So yeah, you go to the lady commander, and she takes you down to like a storage room inside the back. It's a root cellar is what it is. And she says, our house mage was able to secure the assassins before they were able to escape. And she takes you into a room that has these men in giant blocks of ice. They are frozen still inside there. You can see their eyes moving. So whatever this is, it's not true ice. It's definitely like a magical entrapment.
Creative, if dreadful. Can they speak?
I'm sure that Master Magician could make it so.
Is she referring to me?
No, she's referring to the house's magician. However, you probably could mess with the spell using your art magic to basically thaw out its mouth. Looking over the assassins themselves, though, you're able to make out that they have some sort of branding mark on their necks. But who they are is a little fuzzy behind this ice. Like, you can tell that there's life behind there, but like you can't really make a whole lot of good detail out on these things.
Do I have a clear view of the brand?
Not so much with the way that you're at right now. It's kind of like a strange black scarring kind of brand.
All right. I want to thaw them out a bit, at least a little partially. I don't think I quite have the correct schools for this. Like, my primary schools are Illusion, Advantage, and Trait. And then going down the list, it's like Arcane, Action, Hinder, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, you take some time looking at it. You're not really sure what spells were used in this, so it's kind of hard for you to kind of like unwind the tapestry, if you would. But the lady commander will go get the house magician for you.
Okay.
She goes off and she returns. She says, forgive me. Our court magician is not here at the moment, but I was able to retrieve Lord Justicar's magician. This is Nathan Appel. That name should sound familiar.
Nathan Appel, you said?
Mm-hmm. The man that was going to be executed, his name was Sir Isaac Appel.
Ah, interesting.
You can tell looking at him, he's from the school of deepened shadows. It's kind of there aren't too many schools out there of magic, so it's pretty easy to tell who you are talking to. Usually they focus on subterfuge, traps and things like that as far as how their magic works. So this would be in his wheelhouse. After a few moments, he kind of analyzes the spell and he says, I can remove the bindings if you wish, but how much? They are still prisoners.
Just enough to speak and enough to give me a clear view of those brands there.
To the shoulders, perhaps, then. And he starts working his magic. You can tell what he's doing is a little different than how you implement your magic. He starts by looking for a light source, and he goes over to a torch and he begins making these somatic gestures, but he's got his hands in front of the torch. What he's actually doing is performing somatic components with the shadows that he's casting. The shadow puppets that he's putting on the wall are unnatural when looking at them. They take the form of like multi-armed goddesses and things like that, that like he doesn't have enough fingers to make these shapes. And after a few moments, the ice starts kind of breaking down into kind of a dark liquid that looks like ink. And it melts down to about just below the clavicle on front and back. The men are unconscious now. And he says, I've taken the liberty to place them in a state of sleep for the moment. They'll come around in just a moment, but it's not exactly easy to unwind this spell.
No, I understand. We of the School of Colors prefer a softer touch, so I appreciate you doing this for me.
Now that you can get a little closer look, the branding on the back of their necks seems to go further down their shirt and back. It looks like it was done to resemble scars, like a whip would cause. But they're clearly like a tattoo or maybe a searing brand. You're not really sure. It's a scarring of some sort.
All right. While they are out, I'm going to take a moment to take out a sketch pad and basically sketch the scars and their faces.
Okay. Their faces, they all look like very mundane guys. There's 3 of them. Nothing really stand out about them. They look like they were probably servants, maybe. They're commoners, definitely. None of them stand out as noble blood. There is one that has an interesting scar on his face. You don't really have a skill that will let you identify what that scar came from, but it's a large gash, and it starts from here, and it comes down his face.
Okay.
Finding somebody who might be more trained in like a medicine or something like that would be helpful.
Well,
you could always ask the people in the room as well.
As I'm sketching it, I'll make a note. It's like, that's a very interesting scar going down that one's face.
Nathan steps forward and he says, I've seen something similar, though I cannot attest to accuracy. And he kind of like hesitates for a moment, and he says, my cousin, Sir Isaac Appel. You met him briefly. He has a similar scar on his chest, an axe wound.
I see. Yeah. All right. All right. Sketching and waiting, mostly.
After a few moments, the men come around, and you finished up kind of your rough sketches. They kind of are struggling, and they come to terms finally that they're stuck. They're not going anywhere, and they in their struggles, they're kind of like giving you some of that, like, what the hell's going on here, and trying to get out of it. You are able to pick up that they have an Aldhedge accent. Very clear.
Interesting. I'm just scrolling through a list of things at the moment. All right. Let's do a bit of conversation first. Hello. So sorry to wake you up from your sleep, but I do have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. Or if you do, you don't have that much of a choice.
And then you can tell they're consciously covering up their accent now. One of them, the one with the scar on his face, he says, fine, it's not like we're going anywhere.
Well, simple, basic questions. Mostly I'm wondering why. Why did you do it? Why did you kill a woman by all accounts, wanting to end the war?
War's profitable. That's all you need to know. We sought out a profit, and obviously we didn't get paid enough for the job we did.
And perhaps you could enlighten me as to who was paying you?
I'm already dead anyways. Why would I risk that? As far as I know, he's taking care of my family now.
Okay.
If I turn on him, they might be dead.
If you're wondering, I'm scrolling through the list of traits to see if there's anything I can give him that would help me for this.
Yeah. You can make stuff up too. Like if you want to give him a trait that's like honest.
Yeah.
You could do that. The lady commander will mutter something about because she's looking at the brands as well, and she mutters something about Aldhedge magic. You know that, or sorry, not Aldhedge. She'll say Ethabend magic, which will throw you off because you know that people of Aldhedge are a little bit more known for like inks and things like that for their magic. Your school actually was founded by a person that was from Aldhedge. What you know of Ethabend is they tend to deal with more like brunt force magic, like war magics is what they use.
Okay. Talk a little bit more. It's like, well, that is a pity. Could you tell me anything about those interesting markings along your back? I haven't seen anything alike. They're almost an artwork in themselves.
He looks at you. I love that your will is so high. He's lying. He says, there's nothing to tell. It's tattoos that me and the boys took on. We worked together. Any troop you find on the war lines will have some sort of marking. That bit is true, but what his marks are, not quite true.
Okay, so I think I got a rough idea of his character.
The lady protector, the lady commander, she says, I do have the guards that were on duty, three ranked knights that saw these particular men, detain them for the court magician.
Yes, thank you. I shall speak with them shortly. But for now, there's something I'd like to try first. Okay. Want to cast a spell. I want to give this man the trait of, how do I describe this? Filled with justice. Wants to see justice fulfilled. Is that like sufficient?
Okay. I get where you're going with it. Let's see. We'll call it just.
Okay.
I think that's a good way to call it. Okay. So, hopefully you have your magic stuffs in front of you so we can figure out what your difficulty is.
I do. Let's see here. Would you consider this a positive or negative trait? Because that changes the cost.
I think it's a positive trait.
Okay. Now, most character traits are 1. Would you think that's good enough? Because that also
it's a 1.
All right, so it's going to be character trait cost, which is 1, plus an additional 1 obstacle, because this is a positive trait. So starting with 2. Breath, I'm going to make it single target, which is another obstacle, making it 3. And duration, I can either choose 1 test, which counts as let it ride, or conflict, which is basically fight or that like the scene.
It's this scene, basically.
Yeah.
You actually could go further than that because there are some other options. You could make him just for the entire length of this adventure,
True.
or the length of the campaign, even.
True, but I don't think I need to do it for that long.
Okay.
I think other people might get use out of him later, so I will make him just for the conflict / scene, which adds another one.
Okay.
So that is an obstacle of 4.
Yep. Increase your obstacle by 1
Oof.
because his brands are helping him.
Oh dear. Okay. Are you allowing the incanting rules? The incanting rules are basically if I make up a fanciful name for the spell I cast, I get an extra one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's like a shonen, you have to have a name for the move.
Well, yeah, kind of actually.
Nice.
Yeah, like it's if you name it, you get a bonus die. If you RP it, you get a bonus die. And then if you cast it like 10 times, it becomes like on your spell list and you always get a bonus die to it, kind of thing.
Right. All right. I'm going to call this one, I'm actually going to name like all my cells like paintings because that's basically what they're going to be.
Mhm.
And I'm going to name this one The Penitence of Saint Jerome.
Okay.
And like this is basically a scene. I'm replicating like a scene from church myth, how Saint Jerome like turned his life around and became a staunch advocate for the just.
Okay. Yeah, I dig it.
And as I'm doing this, like Francis starts to move his hands through the air. The dyes on his hands start to like drip and flow and then form in the air. And he's basically using his hands to paint his spell.
Cool.
All right. And over the character sheet so I can roll this. Where's my sorcery? Over here. Can't click on the empty space. I click on one of the dots. There we go.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I think they did an update because it used to be like the whole die. Now it's just like the corner.
2. Do we get Artha at the beginning of every session or the beginning of every adventure? Or
you got it from the end of the adventure. If you look at the playboard, you have, let's see here. You have 1 fate, 1 persona. The fate will give you an extra die.
So do I just put that in the Artha thing, or because like I only have
Artha is, or sorry, not the fate. The persona will give you an extra die. That's the Artha there.
Okay. I'll use it because I feel like I need all the help I can get. And the base was 4, and how much extra for the thing?
5 is your total.
All right, 5
for your obstacle.
Damn.
All right, so that is a miscast. So for miscasting, there's a few things that can happen. Trying to remember what art magic does.
There's a list of them.
Yeah, because it's basically I get a list of options to pick from. If you can find that real quick.
Tax, hindrance, enmity, and infamy, or unintended effect is the short list.
Okay. I like an unintended effect for this guy.
All right. The GM twists the intent of the spell so that it has an unintended and perhaps unhappy effect. The unintended effect could be that the original effect is not what was planned for, or the original spell didn't activate at all. Instead of birds fly from your mouth, or devils peel themselves from the walls, or the house catches on fire.
I'm not going to go those crazy directions. Not yet, anyways. But what I am going to do is you feel the magic, and it's one of those things that like you Bob Ross it. You're like, oh, there's a mistake. Let me put a happy little bush right there. And something clicked. You know that your spell worked. How long it worked for or how effective it was, you're not sure, but you can tell he's definitely under the effects of your spell.
Okay, this should be interesting. It's like, he lets out a breath. There. Now, are you feeling a bit more talkative, a bit more wanting to explain your actions? I'm sure that you feel a great remorse for what you've done.
He kind of thinks about it and he says, a bit, but and his Aldhedge accent is back completely now. He goes, a bit, but the most remorse I feel is that I'll be trapped here. What I said about my family is true. If you could give me some sort of guarantee, some sort of promise, I'm willing to say who helped me, who put me in the right situation.
You have my word on both my family and from the church that we will protect your family.
He nods and he says, all right. Well, Vala, I just don't think that's enough. You can see that there's a bit of steam coming off of him. A few moments later, you suddenly realize that the brands on his back have turned kind of like a red hot, like a fire poker that's been in the fireplace.
Uh-oh. I looked to the mage, put him back up, seal him back up.
The mage starts working his magic. You can see him pulling the threads of shadows and attempting to grab at him, all Naruto style. And his brands allow him to slip past the shadows. He's broken free of the ice and he shoves past the lady commander. Unless you do something, he is going to get out of this building. You're really the only one that has an opportunity to try to do something to him.
Oh boy. This is gonna suck considering how hard I failed the last one. But I'm going to attempt to blind him.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm only going to do it for a short time so I can reduce, like, it's basically going to be a call on, yeah. Let it ride is the duration. So, like, it won't be for the entire conflict, but it should just be enough to slow him down.
Yep.
Since blind is hindrance, it's going to cost an extra one.
Okay.
So that should bring it to 4, if I remember my cost correctly.
Are you adding for the brand?
Oh, okay. It's 5 total.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Let's see here. And this one is called The Blinding of Arvex at the River Discus. Sure. Give me a thing. Do the sorcery. Modifiers.
The Abbey's gonna have an art gallery, isn't it? With all those religious paintings.
Out of that, base obstacles 5. This is gonna be unlikely.
So the cool thing is,
What the hell?
you did get 2 routine checks for sorcery.
It doesn't count though. They don't work for.
Oh, that's right. You don't count routines for sorcery.
Yeah. Also, I got 0 successes
That's
on
so
7
weird. It's like-
dice.
Yeah, I was gonna say the cool thing about magic is it explodes when you get successes automatically. But geez,
Yeah, this is not working out well for me.
You went the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do.
what were my options for failure again?
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, that's you failed.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that you were aware because
I was gonna say I want to point out to Tom that he has to make some badass sorcery checks that he's definitely gonna fail if he wants to advance his sorcery.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to go for big stuff, because like I have to go bigger of a hump if I want to advance it. But yeah, this isn't working out for me.
Yeah,
at
You're
all.
if you want to
advancing it like
advance
crazy,
it
aren't
and you
you?
think that you might fail anyways, just be like, I want the term of this spell to go for the campaign. If I remember right, that's like a plus 4 to your odds.
Yeah. All right, so there's tax, hindrance, enmity or infamy, and unintended effect.
Man. I think unintended effect. Again, just because this one works really well. You find yourself kind of like captured by your own painting. The image is seared into your own eyes, and it's all you can see.
It's like, oh, bugger. Well, I'm useless.
You hear the footsteps being beaten out of the root cellar. And God, I have to use the line now. You hear the man as he runs off saying, "I am justice." That's right. You turned an assassin into basically Judge Dredd.
I'm Batman.
Oh boy.
If you blinded him, he would have kept running and said something along the lines of "Justice is blind."
Well, thus begins my campaign as the worst sorcerer in the world.
So, yeah, magic is hard in this game. I
Yeah.
should point that out.
Like, I rolled 8 dice and got 0 successes.
You can, if you have time, you can actually like spend extra time on your spells. That's the safest way to cast, just to give you a heads up. Because basically you get bonus dice up to your skill modifier.
Right.
The room quiets down, your vision returns. The lady commander is shouting for guards to try and capture this escaped assassin.
Well, if nothing else, I learned that he has like some kind of magical scarring on his back. That can't be common.
Yep.
So, plus, I learned some things. Minus, I set loose Judge Dredd in the world. But no one can prove that.
Except for the people that were in the room.
Shush.
All right, so yeah, the lady commander is getting guards to go after him. It's kind of a mess in the city. They're trying to hunt him down. That's how they're spending their afternoon. Did you still want to go visit your broker friend, or did you want to do something else now that things have changed a little bit?
No, I think I'll still visit Dachshund.
Okay. So just a quick change of scenery. Dachshund is out at a board that's kind of in the center of town. It's where one of the criers usually is, and he's nailing up a post on there. As you approach, you can see that the post is asking for anyone to begin excavation of some of the mines that have been damaged by the war to see if any of them are salvageable. He's offering a few coin actually for this, which is quite a bit of money for a commoner.
I like peer over the show. It's like, times are that bad, are they?
He wheels around and he sees you. What kind of person is Dachshund?
In my mind, he's a man of indeterminate ethnicity. He's got like a little bit of everyone in him, and he likes to play that up. It's like, hey, I'm one of you, It's like no matter who they are.
Okay. So yeah, he turns around and he's got kind of this this warm smile, and he says, "Well, funny seeing you here. This would be the last place that I would suggest an artist to be, but with the war and all. How are you, friend?"
Could be better, but that is not as important. At the moment, damn fly, shoot. Sorry.
They've
at
been terrible this time of year.
Ugh, dreadful. At the moment, I've left the warm confines of the Abbey on the task from the church. We've been appointed to get to the bottom of all these nasty war crime business. Rather unfortunate. My job took me here to the city to investigate a few things.
Oh, good. Please tell me one of the things that you'll be investigating is these mines. I have some investments that are not yielding returns, and you know how that makes me itchy sometimes.
In a way, one of the tasks the church gave me was to basically give an estimate on how long until dye production get back up and running. Sounds like it's going to be taking a while. Could you give me any more insights?
Praise Tomati. I don't know the details. I've been away from the fields of battle as much as I can handle. I've gotten close enough to get rumors, but from the people that I've spoken with, the mines themselves, if they aren't damaged or blocked in, just people in Swordbreak Village are frankly dead. The scenes that I have been described are horrific. I don't think I'd go there even if there wasn't a war going on with that much carnage. The dead are left unburied.
Dreadful. We'll have to actually clean up the town before we can go into the mines. That's distressing.
I'm most interested to see if the mines were not crushed under lizard feet or otherwise. I don't know if they've implemented any sort of siege warfare, but to run siegecraft over mines is dangerous for everyone involved.
Well, Ethaben did purportedly salt the fields, so they are intent on destroying infrastructure.
I saw that as well.
Did you
Hopefully
see
the coin that I'm willing to put into this city will jar some of those farmers with nothing to do.
Yes. Let's see. I have time to clear the town, check the mine. It depends on the manpower. If we could dedicate a sufficient force, mayhaps, and assuming that the mines weren't damaged, mayhaps we could get dye production back up and running in a week. But that's assuming we set aside all this war business first.
And that the mines are not damaged themselves.
Yes, that too.
It's optimistic. I would assume probably too. We still need a workforce, but I could perhaps pull some strings. It is my money after all that's tied up, so why not tie up more, it seems.
That's good to know.
Payoff.
I'll give this to the church. Try to be in touch. We'll see if we can work this out and make sure things get running back smoothly as soon as possible. I do not particularly care to have my craft go unappreciated either.
Of course. If there's any way that I can help, I'll be in town for at least the next week.
Good. Oh, other minor thing. Have you noticed anything strange going on in the town, in the city? Anything at all?
Within the last few hours, there seems to be more guards moving about the city, but other than that...
Don't worry about that one so much. Anyway, have to go. Bye! Alright. Yeah, that's basically all the business. Like, okay. I could do the alchemy thing, but honestly, I have a kit back at the Abbey. I have a sample on me, so I'm just going to do it back there.
Okay, perfect. It sounds like this is a good time for us to come together at the Abbey. Does anybody have anything that they would like to do before that, just so I can make sure that I hit all that?
Kill small children and puppies?
I would like to go to the bathroom.
I mean, do you have a belief about it?
No.
Oh, well.
If I said yes, would you let me kill small children and puppies? I mean,
that is your belief, and we are supposed to play to find out with your beliefs, so yeah, probably.
Then yes. But the problem is that I love small children and puppies. Well, let me rephrase that. I love puppies.
Yep.
I hate small children.
But you hate them puppies.
So, let's talk about
puppies.
The Abbey. The Lambertine Abbey there.
Tumblestone Abbey.
So what is what does Tumblestone Abbey look like? I know
Well,
that there's a forge outside because someone hasn't paid to have that happen. There's a knight's stable.
Well, it's built on top of a hill surrounding acres and acres of beautiful golden wheat farmland. The building itself, it's built on very, very old stone. It almost like a very old castle, and it's been renovated recently within the last 75 years. It was an abandoned building before that, and then the Brotherhood moved in and fixed the place. So connected to it or right next to it, it's a little complex almost, is a large wooden building. It's the brewery, as well as a mill house with a windmill.
Okay. Yeah, so this quaint little abbot, which is kind of a conversion, because if the building is that old and that's when the renovation happened, it's been in the Holy Land for a long time. So this is a building that you probably acquired. So it's kind of like a squarish shape. It's kind of low to the ground. There's obviously been some buildings around it that have been added that are a little bit more like even Ecosian type of structures outside. Small wooden squat houses and things like that. The streets around here, are they in traditional medieval fashion where it's like a town that's just kind of crammed up on itself, or is it still kind of open here because it's not grown that much?
That would be, wouldn't that be my knight's fee?
Yeah.
It's still open, I would say, because it's until recently it's only been a farming community to just the people who have been supplying the abbey with the grain.
What do you think, Murdoch? Because it would be effectively the knight's fee.
Yeah, no, it's a smaller community that's been building up over the last few years because of my worry that the elves will come back and we'll need to defend ourselves pretty virulently. So even though
you probably have at least a wooden gate around there.
Yeah, there's at least a wooden gate. There's some, the beginnings of some fortifications and whatnot. And there is on the road out and into the town, there's just a small gatehouse.
Okay. So the camera kind of pans in and we see this nice village, and we find that the camera is actually following a pigeon that goes in through a broken window that's on the north side of the abbey and ends up inside the rafters. There's hundreds of pigeons around, and the camera sinks down after this pigeon has landed, and we get to the room that you all have chosen to regroup in. This is just before the dinner where all the delegates will come forward with the evidence that they've collected to begin passing judgment, or seeing if they can pass judgment with the evidence that they have.
Hey, Morgan, do I have to kill a man?
You look at it like Francis, who's just like sitting troubles, like, what?
That was out of game, by the way. That was out of game.
Oh.
Damn it, Murdoch, I had something to say with that too.
You were about to get a scolding.
There is a duel, but according to the church mandate, you are not supposed to kill.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
Or have to.
Morgan will just like walk up to you. It's like, hi, so I need you to be my champion.
All right. You are a good fellow, and your die is second to none. I applaud your work.
I meant in a duel, but thank you.
Oh. No. Well, then. That is a different matter entirely. What did you say to piss who off?
Well, wasn't what I said so much as I implied. Come, we should convene with the others. I must talk about what I learned.
I feel like if I'm about to put my life online, I should get a little preview of what you said to annoy who.
Very well, very well. Long story short, there was a man, a soldier, who is going to be executed.
Yes.
Apparently, he did some rather nasty things with the girls, but I pointed out some indiscrepancies in the evidence. The man himself apparently took umbrage with this and decided that to challenge me to a duel over saying that he falsified his own testimony that his admittance to his own guilt.
Jeremy, are you clipping your toenails?
I was
Possibly.
going to say, I'm moving pennies across my desk, so that might be the noise too.
I heard the clicking of a toenail clipper. All right. Sorry about that. Continue, Tom.
As I was saying, the man took significant umbrage at the idea that his own testimony of his guilt was falsified, and as such challenged me to a duel to prove me wrong. There's something off about the situation. I know the evidence was falsified, but I'm not sure why the man would admit to the crimes nonetheless. Something is afoot, and I needed him to live a bit longer to find out what it was.
Ah. Okay. That makes sense. I will do this, man, for you.
Right. Remember, we're under church guidelines. No killing.
Killing would only weaken us against the elves.
Of course.
I pat you on the back. Don't worry. I believe you.
Everyone should believe me. They're coming.
I know. We'll do something about it.
I'm sure it'll be quite spectacular. In the meantime, we all just gather together, and I will tell everyone basically the things I learned while I was there. In short of my own assessment of the Duke, quite simply, he is an ass. But as far as I can tell from what little I spoke to him, he didn't have anything overly nefarious. Like, he exaggerated, he lied about a few minor details, but as the actual crimes, I cannot say that he committed them, at least from my brief assessment.
Ah. Squire!
A few moments later, a tall red-headed woman steps in. This is the Lady Kiva of Lore Castle. Yes, my lord.
Did you prepare gifts for the guests? They are visiting us.
I've prepared samplings of the Abbey's finest batch of ales available.
Good. And I turn. Is she clean and respect? Like her armor shining?
Yeah,
like freshly polished.
She's from Lore Castle. Lore Castle has kind of like a Celtic feel to it, if you would. As far as what their armor looks like, she wears a lot of like greens and blues. The flannel type material that she has underneath her armor, you can tell that she has changed into a new scarf to show her colors. She switched out her tabard. It's a tabard that she saves for inspection and for presentation type things. She has you think you might have caught her while she was doing her hair because it's braided, but it's not perfect.
All right. I look at her. I go up and down. You look atrocious. The message that you're sending to the rest of the world right now is that my knight that trains me does not care about me. And we know this is incorrect. Please, hurry up and clean yourself, polish your armor, your sword, your hilts, and make sure that we are ready. Also, my armor needs to be repolished. We had a run-in today.
Of course, I shall attend to your armor first and present myself when I have made myself prepared.
Presentable.
Of course.
You can be prepared without being presentable.
Of course. You can tell that she kind of bit something back there.
That's fine. I assume she comes from one of those tribes. It's like, okay, we get being, ready to go, but this is overboard. Like, what are you doing, dude?
It's more like you've been with Kiva long enough that you know that when she says prepared, what she really means is like, yeah, she'll go sharpen and polish her armor, but she's all, or not sharpen and polish. She'll go like clean and polish her armor, but she's also going to sharpen her weapons. Like she means prepared.
Yeah,
She's
no.
expecting the worst.
Yeah, no, and she should. But in his mind, being presentable is as important.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst I want her prepared, you can usually, my teachings that she would get is, you can usually deflate such a situation by a show of strength. As in, you look at me, this is my status, you cannot defeat me.
Yeah, you're trying to instill in her an understanding of like order.
Yeah.
Which she understands force, because that's how Lore Castle is like the kings are warriors out there. So
yeah. I also tell her, where's the puppy? Meaning her dog.
She is in the stables.
Make sure she is also presentable and prepared for this evening.
Of course.
I turn. Oh, and I will be dueling someone.
She kind of pauses for a moment and she says, in what style, my lord?
I think it would only be fair to let my opponent decide.
Tom, did you told him you got challenged, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know that you have the right to dictate weapon if you want.
Aubrey was like,
well, I should say your champion has the right to dictate weapon if he wants.
Yeah, it's like, I was the one challenged, so technically it falls to you, though you could give that up if you wish.
There is no one in this land that can best me with a sword. Do you think that would be a fair duel for your premises? If I was to strike him quickly?
I believe so.
Then prepare my sword.
Very well. She goes off to clean the armor
Kiva.
and fetch the dogs. Oh, you call for her, so she stops.
Yeah. Good job on preparing the gifts.
Of course. I am short one gift, however.
Oh, it seems the Duke will not be receiving his gift for arrival.
No, I've prepared for the Duke, actually.
No.
Lord Justicar.
Or excuse me, Lord Justicar.
The Lord Justicar. I was told by one of the men from your baggage train of his impoliteness on the road.
Yes. When we are in mixed company, you use the right terminology. However, the terminology I would like to say is barbaric nature when we are alone. Remember this lesson. People like him never get far in life when their true colors are once revealed. He has revealed his.
Of course. If you will excuse me, your sword needs sharpening. It would be unfit to strike a man with an unsharpened blade.
It might be humorous since there's no killing.
If it is your wish.
No, please sharpen it. I will disarm the man. I look at the abbot. I could disarm him, correct?
During all of this, the abbot has been sitting off to the side on a bench, just unceremoniously rubbing his aching feet and cleaning them with a small basin of water. He's had Brother Werner with him, just going over the preparations for the night, all the work he's done during the day while the abbot was gone. And Ansel will look up at you. And why are we engaging in violence on the very first day of our investigation?
Well, apparently someone didn't take kindly to me pointing out that blood doesn't dry that quickly.
Brother Werner speaks up. Abbot, the man that issued the challenge is a knight himself. He does, by the law of the church, even have the right to declare it. Now, we can ask them to not do it on the church grounds, but it is within his rights.
I understand. I just wanted to hear of it from them.
If I may, Abbot Ansel, I respect your belief that violence is rarely the answer, but I will say sometimes violence helps you learn a thing about the people that you talk to. Through strength of arms and understanding, we will see how strong his conviction is. If he is true, truly a man of his word, and he feels so insulted by Vala here, then he will fight with that conviction and that strength. Some believe that Tamati will allow him to prevail if he is true enough, though I've seen many a true man be executed on the end of a failing duel. But I believe that in a duel such as this, where no death will be involved, we can learn the man's convictions. And that should prove very interesting.
The sword is a tool in the hands of a knight, and is the worth of a knight that the eyes of God will judge, and I trust you very firmly.
Thank you, Abbot. Did we need to go over anything before our guests arrive?
Did you already explain to us? You already explained to us everything that happened, Tom?
Yeah, which was mostly my thoughts on the Duke, the duel, and the reasons why. I also will have mentioned the assassins, noting that they had a very distinctive Ultra accent, and they apparently have magic-resistant scars, which is very unusual.
Do you mention that one of them may have become a vigilante and ran away from you?
Keep it to yourself.
I will mention during the process of my questioning, one of them used this magic resistance to slip his bond and escape for reasons which were totally out of my control.
Am I able to tell if he's lying or bending the truth?
I mean, let's put it this way. Tom, would you like to roll an untrained bluff on this one? Or deception on
Sure,
this one?
why not?
Okay. Deception uses, I believe, perception as its thing. Let's just check.
Is this opposed to my will or my perception? I forget.
Let's find out. Because I believe it's against your will, if I remember right. Or
That
yes,
would be-
it is, because I've been using it.
That would be 5.
So, real quick here, his 5 will turn into a 10, but let's not discuss that real quick. Let's talk about deception first. Don't tell people what your obstacle is, because then you lock them into the roll until he's decided he wants the roll.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. It must not be called deception. But it was.
It's called lying like a douche.
I could agree with lying like a douche.
Oh, it's falsehood, I think.
I.e. lying like a douche.
I'd say falsehood and lying like a douche are close,
Here we
but
go.
not exact same thing.
Falsehood is barefaced lying. The obstacle for falsehood is always the will of the character you're deceiving. An advantage if the lie is believable, damn good, or has a kernel of truth to it. Increase the obstacle if it's a whopper of a lie. It wasn't me, it was my twin brother, for example.
That's the best lie ever.
It uses will as its base.
No,
Mm.
God.
The cool thing is if you choose to roll against this will be you working towards opening falsehood eventually.
Interesting.
You want that, Tom.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot.
Start bringing up this theory of your twin brother.
So as we mentioned here, since it's untrained, you're just going to roll your will, and your obstacle will be double his will, which is 10. So strong chance you are going to fail this one.
Start
Just
working
a
towards
little
it.
bit. I'm rolling 4 dice that don't explode, so
Kapow!
I had more successes on that than my last sorcery check.
So nothing weird about this failure. You are able to tell that he's lying. He definitely has something to do with it.
Okay.
Like everybody in this room can tell.
The dog perks up and goes, "Really, dude?
That
The dog speaking is more believable than your lie."
Francis, failure is not a sin, only the betrayal of oneself to not improve oneself over it.
Ooh, that sounds like some scripture quoting.
Francis sighs. Okay, so it's possible that some magic I cast on him went slightly awry and then activated the spell ward on his scars and then perhaps turned him into some kind of vigilante. It's not important, is the thing.
I feel this is kind of brother. I forget. Brendan, what's your brother's name? Brother Warren?
Werner.
Werner. Brother Werner. Can you do me a favor, please?
Of course, my lord.
Can you get the several knights that occupy the township to help with security, please?
As you command, my lord.
And
And Brother Werner will kind of collect up his things. He's an old ass man though. Like he's gonna be here for a little while in case you got other words for him.
I look at Ansel and just make sure that he's okay with that assessment.
So, Francis, you're saying that you've changed this man's nature?
It should be temporary. Should be.
What do you mean? Should be.
Magic is a tricky subject.
Magic is more of an art than a science.
I could argue with you on that one.
Yes, and we have many a time.
Can I use faith to try to divine if his fuckery will cause problems for tonight for our meeting?
Let's look that up and see what faith will do for you.
That should be guidance, I think,
I think
where
that
you look
counts
for
as
advice
guidance.
from God. That would be obstacle 5.
Are you on the page with faith?
I was. Let me see. I'm still there. Yes, it's page 524. Yeah.
524. I didn't think it was that far back. Yep. there
Yeah,
it is.
I can't find it every single time.
I was thinking it was with steel in like the 200s.
Usually the emotional magic is in the chapter with the race,
Yeah.
but this one's in the back of the book.
Yeah, guidance could work. That's an ob 5.
I
It
have
says
a
when-
4 faith, by the way.
When the way is lost, the priest may ask to know the right path. This prayer can be used in more metaphorical sense as well. That's okay. If you have a 4, you can actually spend your Artha towards it. Let's see. You've got Fate. Fate will let you reroll failures.
Okay. Why do I have fate?
You gained Fate for working towards your goals last game.
Oh, okay.
You've got 3 of those sitting around.
So then I will spend fate.
Okay, so what you're going to do is make a Faith roll with an obstacle 5.
No modifiers?
Nope. The good news is Faith does explode when you use it, so there is a chance for you to be able to pass this anyways.
Oh, hold on. Cancel. Faith. Modifier Artha 5, you said?
No, don't put anything inside that Artha.
Okay. Base obstacle 5.
Uh-huh.
Submit.
Okay, you have 1 success. You could spend your fate to re-roll failures. You've got 3 you've got 3 failures in here.
I will re-roll my 3 failures.
Okay, you want to use all 3?
Yep.
Okay. Do just like a roll d6 or roll 3d6, and then I'll just look at what the results are and figure out how many your total is.
That was not a correct roll. I apologize.
Just do like 2 more of those because that's 1 success, so you're up to 2.
Okay.
All right, so you have a total of 2 successes. When prayers are ineffective, let's see here. I'm sorry. We'll provide you one retrospective thing here. Hey, Brendan, would you like to join him in prayer since you have faith as well? If so, you get the same punishment for failure, but there's a chance you guys can succeed this if you work together.
How does that work? Do I roll all my dice to help him?
No, he gets 1 die for let's see here. Oh, never mind. This would require more than just you. It's 1 die of help for every 20 accumulated will of people helping him. So
Does that require each person to have faith?
It would basically be like it would require them to be faithful, is what it is.
Right.
They don't have to actually have the faith trait. Yeah, anybody who believes can help out. So if the 3 of you want to help in the prayer, and you have a total of 20 will, you could then help out. Brother Brendan or Werner will help because you're praying. He automatically joins every prayer.
Ever.
That's just how he is. It's like an old German priest. Brother Werner, I'm going to say has a 4 will, if that helps you guys figure out what you want to do, if you want to help out.
Oh, I have
5, so that takes it up to 9.
Wait. Okay. And I have 5 will.
Yep. So that takes it up to 9.
Yeah.
Is there 11 will between Jeremy and Tom?
I mean, I have the will alone, but I don't believe.
You have 9 will?
I have 4. I have 4 will.
Oh.
He said
Okay.
there's.
You're a non-believer? Okay, so you won't be able to help?
No. I just don't believe in the same thing they do. Like, it's just I never thought about it. So
Yeah, I am pious, so I do believe. So I probably would join in out of habit, if more than anything else.
Okay.
I'm a non-religious dude.
So it is shy of getting you an extra die. Looking at what I can do for failures, it
Sorry
looks
about
like
that, Murdoch.
No, it's all right.
it looks like the thing that
Screw
I
you.
should probably do is do nothing, because that's what God does when He doesn't listen. It doesn't give you any indication that He actually listened to what you said or didn't listen to what you said. There's no shiny holy light, but that never comes with miracles unless it's like something that is kind of a big deal type thing.
Chris. No. Something happens. A light shines, right? But then you find that, some kids threw a rock through a window. Bam.
It's it's like I said, it's hard to say with faith if your prayer is necessarily successful. Usually you find out well after you've committed to the prayer. You feel complete, like you've done a good job, but as far as we know as players, it's a failure.
Well,
Don't you just have to roll now? At least try.
He did.
Okay.
Okay.
well, Francis, do you have time to conduct your experiments before we meet?
Sure. I guess I could look.
We
It should be
also have a piece of evidence that you might be able to help with. We investigated the what was it called again, Chris? The orphanage, the temple
yes,
of
the Temple of the Bleeding Sisterhood.
the Temple of the Bleeding Sisterhood.
Rather.
We found that it was not attacked by Eldhedge soldiers, but by a mercenary band hailing from Eldhedge, and he'll motion for the cloak to be brought out, showing it to Francis.
Interesting. I take it from him and look it over.
Sorry, the Ebon eyes are from Ethabend, not Eldhedge.
Oh, sorry, I get them mixed up still. At the bend.
All right. Interesting.
That's okay. I've got like all sorts of parentheses in my notes.
So, I guess the first thing I would take notice of is like the pitch black dye, because that's unusual.
Mhm. And this is a real black dye. So this is like made from probably like an oak that's been burnt down to ash, and the ash has been committed to a dye.
Huh.
If
Can I
you want to
determine-
know exactly what kind of wood, you could make a dye making check, and that will tell you what it is. But it's definitely like a hardwood.
All right, I will do that.
Okay.
Can I fork in fabric-wise?
Yes.
All right,
Well, fork you.
Martha, and base obstacle.
Let's see here. It's dye making.
Dye manufacturing.
Dye manufacturing. Here we go. This is okay. So common colors are OB1, exotic are OB2, royal colors are OB3. It is technically one of the holy colors, black, but I'm gonna say OB2.
Okay. Yeah, crush that one.
All right, excellent. Kind of looking it over, it's not a true black. Like you have to really kind of look it over. This would have been done with a yew wood, which does come from the Ethebend region. It would have been slow burned for at least 5 days, and then turned into kind of a like a powder from the charcoal that is left behind. That powder would then be added to a glue made out of like the fat from a lizard, and it would be done into kind of a thick paste, like a pigment, and that pigment would then be filtered through water to create the dye necessary to do this. This fabric is a wool, which sheep are on the main continent, but there aren't too many sheep in the Holy Land.
Francis is like looking over for 2 seconds. Looks like this is done with ash, yew wood from the Ethbin region. Same with the actual fabric itself. It's wool. So, yes, most likely they were Ethbin mercenaries.
You know, Ethebed is a very seasonal country. They have all 4 seasons, and they hit pretty drastically.
Right.
The burning you see on it is allegedly from magic. The witnesses at the scene said that these were sorcerers who released fire from their hands.
I take another look at the marking. Does it look like it's similar to the markings I saw on the man's back?
The marking
No.
is that of the Ebony Mercenary Company.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like an eye shape, kind of like I hate to say it like that, the eye from like the Millennium Puzzle in Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's like a line that goes over, and then there's circle in the center of the line. That's what it looks like. You could roll a sorcery to kind of see if there is some like residual magic on the burns itself, to see if you can determine if it's a magical fire that did this damage or not. And you can add mending as a fork.
Right.
Fabric, anything like could fork into that.
I'll do that. So
I could help out with mending.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. 2. I shall
sorcery, and then you could get one for mending fabric wise. Enchanting would give you a fork.
I also have enchanting. I could help out with that.
Oh wait, sorry, this isn't an enchanted item, so forget that fork. So 2.
So we got a fork for mending and fabric wise, and another one
and then one for help.
Okay.
I will help you
with.
We're trying to identify the burns on the fabric, right?
Yep.
Okay. I will try to help you with armor training.
I don't think that one
No,
applies.
in all seriousness, I will try to help with soldiering, i.e., how they would have worn such a cloak for their mission.
We also did determine that via your help before with me originally that it was soldiering that soldiers who wore these.
Yep. So that's 4 in total right now.
Okay.
Brendan, be a bro.
I don't have anything that can help with this.
I was gonna say you could always pray for a boon.
Actually,
bro.
yeah.
Be a bro.
I forgot about that.
We can pray for a boon?
Be a religious bro.
I can do a boon or a blessing.
I will.
Sorry, a blessing is what you'd be looking
Be a
for.
religious
Well, a
bro.
boon would make someone's ability open-ended, and a blessing would provide 1 extra die.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a... So what does opening it mean? It means 6s will reroll?
Yeah.
Explode.
Yeah, 6s can get re-rolled.
No, this is a sorcery roll, so it already does that.
So yeah, that's why I said you'd want to do
Okay.
a blessing.
Okay, yeah, I'll pray for a blessing, sure.
Okay, that's gonna be an ob 3.
Yes.
And I'll call this one.
Hey,
Don't fuck
and
it
Francis, before you click the button to make your roll, there's a little box next to. Never mind.
Yeah, I have it checked.
Good.
All right. And I shall call this one.
This isn't necessarily a spell. This is just kind of you using your sorcery
okay.
knowledge.
So I won't bother naming it.
You could name it if you want. You just won't do anything.
3.
Brendan, I'm willing to give you an extra die if you actually give me a prayer to Tomati for this one.
Oh.
Just
Well,
saying.
I will.
No, I'm pretty sure you had almost the amount of same modifiers as you had your own roll.
Yeah. It's like we worked together and we crushed it.
Oh, you already did it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He
I have
destroyed.
more than double successes, so I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, can I still do the
Yeah. I'd
check
still like
for
to
the
hear a
sake of-
prayer.
an actual prayer?
Yep.
Duh.
Just want you to know, basically, as many opportunities that I can for you guys to actually show faith in this game, that's what we're doing.
I got it.
I'm glad I'm not showing faith in this game.
Almighty Tamati, we hope that you will guide our comrade Francis as he dives into his deep knowledge of fabrics and arcane lore to help him understand this so that we may bring these people to your light.
It's pretty good.
Mm.
All right, so
Okay.
with your 8, you are able to tell that this is it's wizard's fire. That's basically the nice way to put it. It's like burning hands essentially. Like this is clearly some mages acting like flamethrowers.
That's exactly what I was trying to. I thought it was going to be Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Last game, because the way the nuns were wording it was not that they used magic, but they burned themselves like magic. I'm assuming magic fire shoots straight from the hand, wouldn't burn the cloak.
Yeah, looking at the magic, because you got such a good roll on this one, essentially, you're able to tell that the magic that they cast, it comes from like from their elbows forward. This is a piece of fabric that got burnt off as their entire arm lit on fire.
Because they're trying to shoot, yeah.
Yeah. There clearly was sorcerer's fire involved.
I just look at you stupidly, like, really? That's all you've got? And then I kind of regain it and go, Are you sure that is all that you are able to discern?
Well,
No
it's people
guidance
who,
from Tamati to give you extra insight?
it wasn't just sorcerer's fire. Sorcerer's fire from people who can't cast sorcerer's fire.
Nobody said that they couldn't.
That's what I'm assuming.
Well, I can tell you they're most not likely not from the school of colors. The conjuring of sorcerer's fire is almost anathema to us. It's next to impossible.
Ethabin does create war mages. So
yeah. It's like I'm not entirely familiar with Ethabin's colleges of magic, but they do make excellent war mages. So I imagine one of them would have this at the forefront. Aside from that, I can tell you the flames likely started at the elbow and went all the way up to the palms before releasing.
the good part is you guys have identified that the Ebon Eye originate in Ethabin.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you, Francis.
Oh, one last thing more on the subject of sorcery. I pull out the sketching of the assassins and I make note of the scar drawings. Like, this was the scars I saw on the assassins that had magical properties.
He also flips past a flower sketching, by the way, for anybody who's paying attention.
I am paying attention.
Yeah, I'm gonna look and go. What's the relevance of this?
Oh, it's beautiful. Anyway. Anyway, these are the two assassins. And I point to their
Hold
faces.
on. I flip back to the flower.
Does the flower,
I stare at it.
Look like it has any special properties, Chris? Like, just from the drawing alone.
A skill that will let you like an herbalism or something like that?
No, which is why I'm trying to understand it.
I continue to stare at it.
I will take the page and give it to you.
Yeah, as you move it, I put my hand down on it. Why is this beautiful?
What?
See, I don't actually get why he thinks it's beautiful either. I'm confused too. I think I broke him.
You just told him you don't understand his art. This is the worst thing you can do to an artist.
He is from the...
But he's not trying to not understand. He just doesn't understand.
He is from the forges of the dwarfs. He doesn't see these things regularly. So he may not understand its beauty. And to me, this is a very plain flower. I've seen hundreds of flowers in thousands of colors. Well, all that pale in comparison, or this pales in comparison of those. I should take you to the jungle.
Yes, I'm sure it's quite spectacular. But the point is, it's not just the single flower, it's all the flowers together.
And then he crunches it up and throws it.
Francis just leaves. He's done. Nope.
I'm gonna go grab that flower, the painting of that flower, and store it away. I have plans.
Okay.
Actual plans, guys.
So I will point this out. He's gone, but Brother Ferner knows herbalism.
I will.
Francis just leaves. I'm looking at him like, why is he leaving?
Lady
Everybody
Kiva arrives with your armor cleanly polished. Her hound is like damp, I guess is the best way to put it. It's a short-haired, kind of a lanky hunting hound.
Yep.
But you could tell that it's been freshly washed.
Oh.
Mason.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, in your tradition, well, you give a piece of art to, or you give a gift to give a piece of a soul to someone you've met, correct? And you expect them to give something back?
Yes.
Well, what an artist does is he bears a piece of his soul into his work, and then that as a gift to all who look upon it, with not just what he sees as beautiful, but he's showing the world the way he sees it.
So he spends hours upon hours praying over this gift, or praying over this art to put a piece of his soul into it?
Yes, and all those who look upon it are seeing what he wishes to share.
I draw my sword and I point it at the dwarf boy.
I'm already gone.
I will tell Lady Kiva to hunt down Marshall. Drag
Chris,
him to me. Drag him to me in chains.
Chris,
For
how
he
long?
has committed a sin that is no more vile and evil than. Yes, honey, I know.
You're welcome. Chris, how long until the dignitaries arrive?
They're arriving.
Hunt
right.
him down and bring him to me in chains because he has committed the worst sin imaginable.
Mason.
Abinensel, I will handle this. And then I get up, walk out.
Please apologize to Francis.
Okay. I imagine that Francis and Marshall have made it to the dignitaries' table where you're supposed to meet.
I was going to my forge. I have something to do.
Okay. Well, good. That means I can arrest you.
Because he doesn't know what the hell
the fuck's going on. She's just gonna listen to her master because she wants to be a knight one night.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're definitely gonna have a little bit of time in the forge. What's up?
So I'm gonna set this picture up as and I'm gonna start recreating it, right? But in the form of I'm just gonna recreate it just as a 3D sculpture, as just a metal sculpture.
You're working with like softer metals like copper, so it's quick to work with.
Because he said it's supposed to be beautiful, so I'm gonna show him the only way I can understand it.
Okay. So yeah, you work with some coppers and some like mixed metals to give it the red color. Yeah. After a few moments, you kind of finish twisting the metal to get it in the right image, and Kiva comes through the door.
I don't. I'm not bothered by her. It's not the first time someone angrily kicked down my door.
Marshall Steelheart, you are under arrest. And she seems like, I'm not sure why I'm doing this.
I'm just trying to put on the finishing touches. Yes. And I'm just continuing.
Leave the order on the counter.
Look, she comes over and shackles you, but like it's a matter of fact for both of you. Like you managed to keep the thing in your hand so you can put the final touches on, but you've got shackles on and she's dragging you out.
Yeah, while she's dragging me, I'm just trying to finish it up. I'm not stopping.
So the other two of you, are you going to the dignitaries' table? Because your guests should be arriving.
No, I'm going to the manor to judge this man who's committed a crime.
I went to my workshop.
No one's gonna greet them.
Hold on, that is Abbott's job.
I was gonna say, is the abbot going to greet them?
Yes, I was hoping to say something to Mason before he does all this crap.
Speak up, Abbott.
What crime has he committed in your eyes, Mason?
Or am I not long gone?
I think he would have had a chance to say something to you before you left the arena. Okay. Like he would have seen you going for the door to go out to issue judgment.
Oh, he has stolen this man's soul. Obviously, he took the thing that was the man's soul, and he ran off with it to perform nefarious deeds with this man's soul.
After you crumpled it and threw it away, after it was shown to you and given to you.
Yes. I intend to judge myself after. I will be putting myself to death.
This is all your fault.
This is real extreme.
This is all your fault, Tom. It's your fault for putting your soul into something.
Hey, I'm not the one who said that.
Mason, there are certain measures to be taken for different sins.
I have a question.
You did not understand what was being presented to you. You should task yourself with making sure you understand for the future. Learn more about Francis and his work.
Hold on real quick. Chris, I have a question. I have been attacked by the undead before in the jungle, correct?
I don't know where you're going with this.
I thought we had discussed that I have actually seen the undead stuff.
I think undead happened. You don't really know anything about blood magic, though.
Yeah, no. In my lands, my homeland, we battle the corpses of those whose souls were stolen. If we do not recover this piece of this man's soul and return it to him so that he can either gift it appropriately or store it safely, his body will rise and he will fight like a demon possessed. This is the most heinous crime a person can commit because he will force the body to commit acts that it normally wouldn't do. You do not understand the hate that goes through this. And if Marshall Steelheart is one of these people, I will put him to death now. And because of my inability to act and understand is why I will put myself to death. You must understand that these crimes are heinous. We do not simply go, oops, you accidentally murdered somebody. We say, no, you murdered somebody and are therefore guilty. I have accidentally sentenced this man to have his body walk amongst the living once he has passed, that his soul may never rest. And I cannot allow this to happen. My only penance now is to retrieve the soul and hope that the body will accept it back.
Are you doing this as a simple conversation, or would you like to roll something like occult-wise?
Murdoch, why didn't you take folklore magic?
I was gonna say, because if you roll something like folklore-wise, this might be a thing in the jungle, like a legit thing. Like if gifts are not received correctly, that person's a zombie.
Yeah, I'm going for it.
Oh God, it's happening.
Yeah, let's take folklore-wise.
This is not going to work well with the whole noble thing.
I love that, like, his character is going to know random shit about folklore, but not know how to use folklore magic.
I know. But nobody's here to say otherwise.
What's the value? The modifier?
Man. Let's see. I think it would be a 2, so it's gonna double. So when you put it in there, put your obstacle as 2, it'll automatically double. I remember how this thing worked last time.
Additional complications?
You mean modifiers?
No, it says additional complications.
No.
I got it. I succeeded.
That's weird. They must have added that. Okay.
4 to 4.
Yes. That is a thing in the jungles. Gifts that are not properly transactioned upon will lead to wanton undead problems.
In the
which
jungles.
is why it is such an important thing to my character.
In the jungles.
Yeah, I do like it being part of the jungle. Like the jungle actually has part of the reason for the magic. But your character is like, no, it's the fucking gifts.
Yeah.
Mason, I know your tradition from your homeland is spurring you forward, but remember that we are now in the Holy Land and we have Timote guiding us.
And to disappoint Timote by sacrificing such a devout follower's soul, he joined us in prayer. Just to take his soul away from Timote, to take his body. I'm sorry, I have to like whisper power yell this because Steph is trying to sleep. To take his body
from Tamote away from the light and allow it to walk this planet and do nothing but harm is an unforgivable sin. Abbott, Hansel, please guard this location against the undead for the moment. If he has died in the short time that is until his soul is returned to him, this could be a problem. He could spread this disease. Away.
Mason.
I love that that's probably your character's response. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
Please, do you trust my guidance in this matter?
Me? No, I'm gone.
Oh.
Like, you said my name, and I'm just... No, I have to save his soul.
Yep. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice. Yeah, let's do court first.
I'll go receive them by myself.
Yeah. Actually, let's do the quick thing first. Tom, Alchemy Lab, what did you want to accomplish there?
I was gonna check the soil sample, see if there's anything unique amongst it. Like
It's an
what?
OB1 alchemy.
Yeah, I figured. It's like, is this salt? Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. You're gonna burn it, see it change different color. Be like, yay, 7th grade science experiment.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Yep. It's pretty good soil, except for the massive amounts of sea salt that's been pounded into it.
Sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the sea located?
There's not necessarily a sea, but there is a large deposit of sea salt that's up where the dwarves hold dominion. That's where most of the salt in the mesa comes from.
Huh.
They have salt flats.
Interesting. Well, good to know. Like, Francis will, like, after that's done, like, sit there for a couple of minutes, just, like, stewing over the things. Just like, he's going to fight a duel for me in a second. Just sort of sighs, gets up, leaves his workshop, heads to court.
Okay. Yep. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice, we find Mason and Kiva and Marshall and Shackles.
Okay. Sorn Drawn, return the soul to me now.
I look around. I don't have a soul. Well,
You took
hold on. I have a soul, I think. But that's my soul.
You took a piece of Francis's soul. Return it now, or I will kill you where you stand. I will burn your house, destroy your family, and salt their lands.
Hold on. I did what?
The flower.
You notice that he's holding a metal flower in his hands.
Oh, God! You're trying to replicate his soul! I snatch it out of his hand.
Whoa. Hey. Careful.
What?
It's fragile. He told me his flower is beautiful, and I was trying to figure it out.
If I wasn't such a devout man, I wouldn't care for your soul in front of Tamate, but you will present this flower to Francis.
I was trying to, but then I got
Where's
the
painting of his soul?
Painting
Of his soul.
Oh, the blueprint. It's back at the workshop.
Take me to it now, knave.
Whoa, Mason, no.
I poke him with my sword, with the pokey end.
You, sir, have been poked.
I just like tap it away. Don't call me knave.
I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna punch you right in the face, full gauntlet, everything. Just to the workshop now.
Hit me. He's gonna stand there and stand his ground.
Okay. That is a brawling check.
Like a proper fucking dwarf.
All right.
Do you wish to contest this? You're in shackles. You don't
Yes,
have much of a chance to contest it. Just to get.
No.
Okay.
I present my face.
Okay.
What's the obstacle?
It's uncontested, so 0.
So routine.
Yeah. I think you have to put an ob 1. Yeah, because it's pass fail.
Okay. And all right. Sorry. I needed to make sure that my brawling skill went up.
So he can't really avoid it, but I don't think you do any damage to him. Like you gauntlet him.
I look smug as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what ends up happening.
I'm gonna say, is that all you got, Dave?
I'm gonna punch him again.
Okay.
I feel like I should just walk in, see this, and walk back out again. Nope, not dealing with this.
Yeah, I succeeded this time.
Yeah, but barely.
Okay.
Also, my 2 routine checks have been checked. Does that mean I gain a 3?
Yes, you go up immediately.
Murdoch, you're welcome.
Let me see if I can find how much damage a gauntlet does. Because we don't have it listed on your sheet here.
This is the first time someone's taking damage.
What is the little X box for? Oh, open-ended D6 explode.
Not to be that guy, but I do have to go to bed soon.
Yes, I was about to finish it up.
Hey, blame Murdoch and his rumor mongering.
Excuse me, I think you mean folklore-wise,
Same thing.
where I fucking champed that role.
Yes, but you didn't champ punching me like a little. You had no literally obstacles to bother you, but your own failures. And even when you did pass, you barely passed.
Your failures are your old man.
That's right. That's one of the best, better lines.
It's apparent to me that choking up is the only way. Look at me. It is clear that squaring Jerry's shoulders is the path. I've been doing this longer than any of us. Your failures are your own, old man. That's what happened here.
Here we go. Blah, blah, blah.
I feel like Kiva would now understand, by the way, the crime that has been committed, because this is probably something that
I also feel like Kiva would now look at me better, and maybe I have a chance with her.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it may not be as obvious about it as Mr. Art over there, but don't let it be said that I don't a proper forge master takes it, does what he can when he can.
You got to temper that steel, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'm having a hard time finding it, so I'll deal with finding where weapons are again later. What is your power?
My power, firepower, is a 4. Yep.
I assume it's probably going to be like power plus your successes.
So 5.
So 5. Yeah, Jeremy, you take a B5 wound. So how this works is your character's going to suck at life for a minute. Actually, I need to see your character's lethal. You have a B5 health. Mortal wounds is 10. So, on the combat page, you have a B10 for your mortal wounds. Oh, good. Your stuff has been done. B5. That is a light wound for you.
That's right. I spit out the little bit of blood that, you know.
I was gonna say, keep in mind this is like there's superficial or there's bruising, superficial, light, midi, serious, traumatic, immortal.
I figure I'm bleeding on my mouth, the inside of my mouth a bit, and I spit out the blood, just smirking at Kiva, and a wink at her.
Do I see it? Because I'm going to hit him again if I see it.
Yeah, you're right in front of him.
Okay.
Hold on. Before he does that, can I do a hey baby check?
So it's called seduction in this game. It's a real thing.
I don't have it.
But yes, you can.
I'm going to try for it.
You're also going to take another B5 wound.
Probably. All right, hold on. Seduction is what is
real quick though, before you go to seduction, I have to look at what your light wound is. So your roll, you're going to be down 1 die.
All right.
But wait a minute. Chicks take scars, so he should gain a die.
I think I should as well.
Here we go. Seduction uses will.
Sweet. Can I
It is the victim's will. I love how they call it the victim.
Can
this game got oddly rapey.
Let me see if I statted out Kiva or not.
Can I fork in
Can you fork her?
She is statted.
She's what?
She's got stats. Okay, good.
I was gonna say, can I fork in appraisal or haggling?
So the appropriate forks are persuasion, soothing platitudes, and poetry. I don't think those are going to work.
So haggling. Can I fork in haggling?
Nope.
That would be with her father if you were trying to pay a dowry.
No, I'm trying to make sure she understands that she's getting a deal here.
Nope.
I don't have those.
It's going to be double her will because you're not trained yet.
All right.
Please tell me her will is like 5 or 6.
So it's will, right?
Uh-huh.
Minus 1.
Your obstacle is a 4.
So it's doubled, so 8.
Well, just put in a 4 because it's going to double it for you.
Might be doing this wrong. Arthur, no. You said her will is 4?
Mm-hmm.
How do I do minus 1?
Just roll it. I think the sheet does the -1 for you already.
Okay.
We'll find out here in a second.
Nope.
It
did do the -1.
It did the -1. Good. Yeah, you're like, hey, what's up? I'm cool. Boom, right across the face again.
Yep. It would have worked if I wasn't punched again. Take that right there.
Another B5.
I spit out again, punk, and I start walking.
You say punk?
I mumble it.
Your character
mostly because I'm starting to,
I assume that your face is just fat at this point.
That's why I mumble it. Otherwise,
he's got a huge fat cheek. He spit out a tooth last turn.
Is he finally?
I
going
said,
to take
and I start walking.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this wrong. Hold on. You have a B5 and a B6 because it goes up.
All right.
Let's go.
And I bring him to the workshop.
Where is it? Where's the soul?
You find it.
I look around because I don't know I don't know what the fuck he's looking for.
I grab the painting and I smooth it out.
It was already smoothed out. It was nice and proper.
It was smoothed out on an easel.
It was in great condition.
I will. Kiva, where is Francis? Do we know?
I believe he's meeting with the dignitaries, and this is where we'll call the game.
I walk. He's like, "Why is there a small puddle of blood here?"
All right, guys. Real quick here for Tom, because Tom's got to go. Let's look at your character sheet real quick. For your shit asses. Tom, I want you to read out your beliefs and instincts and traits, and I'll see if you get anything.
All right. I will put the Abbey on the map, making it recognizable and like people understand that this is an important place in the world. The common man.
It depends. What's your intent with that artwork you're doing?
Like the one of the flower, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there's that. Your painting of like the man with the scar.
Yeah. Well, like that's definitely to help further the investigation and like make sure that ends up in a good place. The flowers was mostly just a spur at the moment thing.
Okay. I think if you change that later on, it probably could work towards this goal.
It could be interesting. All right. Next one is the common man should not be looked down upon.
I don't think you did anything towards that.
Yeah. I will regain my place among the die makers by finding allies among them. I didn't really do anything about
that.
There's a link for you, Tom, at the very bottom.
I think you did, actually. You are shoring up some alliances with a die trader, which will help you in the long run.
Okay.
So I think that's a fate you work towards it.
Cool.
Okay. How about your instincts? What are
they? Always note the lighting composition of a room. That didn't quite come up.
Didn't cause a problem.
Never be without art supplies.
Not a problem.
Didn't have a problem. And if anything new and spectacular, captured art.
That did cause a problem for you.
Technically, yes. In kind of a roundabout way.
Well, when you capture the flower, it caused a problem. And then when you decided to thaw out assassins, that did something else too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go over to Murdoch because I've got him on my screen here.
Yay!
If you could read your beliefs real quick.
Yes, I can. My beliefs are I will keep the Abbey safe during the trial. I made steps for that today by deploying the knights, I think.
I think so.
Okay. I will form a militant order. I don't feel like I made any progress towards that today.
Real quick. Brendan, you kind of acknowledged the usefulness of having knights on the premises.
I was going to mention that.
Do you feel like that may have swayed you towards basically acknowledging and approving of their being on the grounds?
I never disapproved of it, or else I wouldn't have allowed them to be there.
Okay.
I just preach, wisdom in how it's done.
Okay. So I don't think this necessarily moved you on that. What I can see probably happening is eventually there's probably going to be a conversation between your two characters. We're going to use a set of rules called Duel of Wits, where you're going to try and convince each other of stuff.
I mean, what he's doing now isn't going to help me.
We'll see how it all pans out.
Hey, you don't know me. I will prove to the faith that I am from the jungle. I actually think I made a step towards proving to Brendan's character, who is a representative of the faith, that I am actually from the jungle today. My weirdness, sheer weirdness about this, and like just firm belief about like bringing up the undead and all this stuff, I think has to make his character take pause and be like, what?
What do you think? Did you have that impression?
I haven't had a chance to think too much about it. It's definitely weird. I know he's not from somewhere around here. And I've been to a lot of places.
I say that's a step then.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even if you're not like 100% in agreement with them yet, you're just kind of like, maybe there's something to it. That's a step towards it.
Yeah. And I will make the abbot I will make sure the abbot understands the need for my night order, which I think that I have succeeded in that this week, that at least he understands that there is a need for his night order at the moment.
So we can handle this two ways. He did acknowledge a need for it, so we could say that it is accomplished. You get a persona point, make a new belief involving your night order. Or we can say that this is fate because your night order hasn't quite proven itself yet. Once your night order like stops an assassin or saves the council, then you've proven yourselves. Goals accomplished, persona there.
I would prefer to go for the fate with this one.
Okay, cool.
So then I get 2 fate.
Actually, you get a total of 3.
3 fate. So where do I put them?
I already put them on the map for you.
Okay, cool.
All right.
On the map.
You're next.
What map?
Oh, sorry. The Roll20 map underneath your name where it says Murdoch, there's like 3 fate tokens.
Oh, okay.
I also need your instincts to see if any of those played against you.
Oh, sure, for sure. Sorry, Steph is already snoring. As I'm sure you can hear.
We don't hear it.
I always check people for weapons and assess them for a threat, which hasn't come up yet because I did not welcome the guests. My weapon, armor, and lizard-like thing are Knight's words to the world. Keep them clean. It didn't come up in a way that acted against me.
Yeah.
Aside from just annoying Kiva. So, when I'm invited somewhere, a gift is due to both parties. So I don't think that is acting against me. I think that has allowed me to evolve a character or evolve a belief. So I don't think that it actually acted against, huh?
Yeah, you could absolutely do that. Like change an instinct and make that a belief instead. I like it as an instinct because it makes it more intrinsic to your character.
Yeah.
And basically when it presents itself as a problem is when you go, no, I know who the Lord Justicar is. I don't care if I'm in his house. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Basically, so now that we've fleshed that out, like I think it's kind of makes more sense of why I will never trust this guy with a gift again. Like he will never receive another part of my soul, blah, blah, blah. I think it makes more sense this way. And I kind of really like why I jumped so far off the deep end now that like why this is a thing.
Yeah, and I could see you even writing a belief that's like, I'm going to get my gift back.
Yeah.
Because if he's not going to share, then I can't trust him with a piece of my soul kind of thing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't think it's gotten you in trouble yet.
Nope.
But I could see it getting you in trouble later on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Jeremy?
Most of my stuff did not really, because this today was not really had a lot to do with.
I was gonna say I think most of your stuff right now is geared around crafting, right?
But one might have hit one of my instincts.
Okay.
As a Dorsman, I'm always ready to do my job. I was because I saw something I did not understand, trying to understand his art.
Yeah.
And then trying to recreate it in my way so I could better understand it got me in trouble.
You got him punched in the face.
Yeah, I could agree to that. What I would suggest for you is take a look at your beliefs and see if you can write one of them to be something that you can accomplish so you can get some persona as well.
I know, but I just haven't found anything that really stood out.
Like, you can even make it about the trial itself.
I actually am going to ask you to do me a favor, by the way, later on. Like, so I would like to evolve the story in such a way that after, because Tom, you originally, Francis said you can have this, correct? Like, was that said in game?
No, I like to sort of like handed it towards you, and then you just went like,
because you were staring at it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, if this is seen as a gift, eventually,
the way that I kind of wanted to hopefully take this, if everybody's okay with it, was having it actually crafted as a shield.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because I need to honor the soul of the artist.
I considered doing that, but I didn't have time.
But like, that's where I want either getting it done on the shield or getting a flower shield type thing.
Done.
But you
and
may
you can be the Knight of Flowers.
no, thank you.
I'll leave an enchanted for you, Murdoch.
But I was saying that we could use that as like a belief or something like that. If we go, if Tom does eventually present it as a gift, that sort of thing.
I'll be yelling at all of you for being idiots in a second, but
I mean,
we might get there.
That's pretty normal.
Real quick now, Brennan, your beliefs?
I will learn more about my companions so as to better guide them on this road Timote has laid before us.
Yes.
I'm trying to understand more about what makes Mason tick, I guess. Trying to help him understand the others as well.
I feel like this revelation about Mason is enough to say it's been accomplished because you've learned a little bit about each one of them. Actually, no, I take that back. You haven't learned anything about Mason.
Mason?
Or Marshall.
Yeah, so Marshall. I think I'm about to once I see Marshall's recreation of the flower, though.
Basically, once you learn a little something about each one of them, you could then go, it's accomplished, and take a persona instead, and then make a new belief if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. What's your next one?
I will convince the court that war in the Holy Land is an affront to God. Not there yet.
No, I think next time we get together, that first scene is pretty much going to be your chance for that.
Mason is eager, but he needs to learn that peace is the bravest fight.
I think you work towards that.
Yeah. And the road to God is humble and laborious.
I don't think it really came up too much. Like, you're playing towards it, but not in a way that's like outside of what your character normally does.
Mm-hmm. My instincts are always lend a hand. I would say that definitely bit me in the ass here. It kind of had Mason interpret it the wrong way and went off in a different direction.
Okay.
Has a piece of scripture for every situation.
You definitely had it. Now, did that negatively affect your interactions with Mason?
Yeah, because I don't know. Do you think what I tried to say to Mason was the wrong thing, Murdoch? To try to help him?
So, from Mason's point of view, you were reinforcing him. So while I don't think it was a problem for you, it created more of a problem for the party overall. If that makes any sense. Like, even though you had the best of intentions with your scripture and stuff there at the end, I do think it created more of a problem than it helped.
Okay.
He was trying to bridge the gap between your beliefs and where we are now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the third one didn't come up. When met with a new place or group of people, engaged with a common folk.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's everything. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the broadcast for everybody that sees this later on because we didn't have any viewers this time around. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have more Burning Wheel for you guys in the future. And eventually we're going to get to some big old mech slapping action in here. And that's going to be exciting.
And people should buy Guns of Icarus online.
We almost got to the end.
Almost. I wasn't going to ruin it.
And Guns of Icarus Online Alliance.
And whatever secret project he's working on now.
See, there's one for everyone, Tom.
And now I have nothing to say. You all took it from me.
Damocles.
Bye. I love you.
I hate you all.